Now that I've got your attention, I would again greet you. So namaste and a warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for being with us. This part of the day is about honoring the 30 years of Infinity Foundation and the extraordinary life journey of Shri Rajiv Malhotra ji. This moment carries the spirit of reflection, gratitude, and civilizational purpose. Before I invite him on stage, I want to acknowledge something. Every effort you see today, this gathering, this energy, this purpose, carries the imprint of a person whose vision guides us and whose humility grounds us. For me personally, he has been a mentor in the quietest, strongest sense of the word, the wind beneath many of our wings. I now invite Shri Hari Vadlamani, Chairman of the BTN, to deliver the welcome address. Hari Garu.
About 10 years ago, I had the opportunity to support an artist. His name is Baptist Cohello. He's based in Mumbai. He's a contemporary artist. I love to indulge in contemporary art, and I supported his work, sent him on a residency. One of the bodies of work that he has is that he has documented in a very, very creative way the soldiers who fight in Siachen. You all know the hostile environment of Siachen, where more than 17,000 feet soldiers stay there for 3 months and not just fight the enemy, protect our Bharat, but also face a very hostile environment, very, very hostile environment. And he showed me the kind of life they lead, the lonely life they lead, the kind of battles they fight. I was reminded of that this morning when I was coming, and I was thinking about the life and times of Rajiv. And I saw a parallel. I saw a parallel between a soldier in Siachen and the battles he fights and the battles our own intellectual Kshatriya, Rajiv Malhotra, fights. The kind of hostile environment that he faced, the kind of loneliness that he faced, the time away from the family that he faced, I felt that we need to recognize this Sri Shakti behind Rajiv. I want to recognize Indrani ji, and I want all of you to raise and give a standing ovation so loud that she will remember this recognition for her life. Indrani ji, please. Come on, guys. Where is Indrani ji? Come. Please face us. Please face the audience. Please face the audience. Come on. Thank you very much, Indrani ji, for all the time that you gave Rajiv for us, protecting us. Thank you for the sacrifice you made. We will always be grateful to you. Bharat will always be grateful to you. Thank you so much. Thank you again for all the comfort you gave him when he was down and out, when he was being attacked by the Western academia. You gave him the comfort, the solace. You gave him the energy to continue. Thank you ever so much. Bharat is ever grateful to you. Thank you. I, as a founder of Indica, completed 10 years. We founded Indica in 2015. And in 2025, April 2nd was our 10 years. And typically when there's a birthday or any anniversary or I get into a morosic mood and start reflecting and what is the purpose and all these things. And I was in that kind of a mood, and I was just reflecting 10 years, what did we achieve? Was there any impact made? All these self-doubts that we face. Then I get a call from Rajiv about the celebration in April 19th. Immediately book the flight and I go there just to spend time with him so that, I know that a 30-year-old man, 30-year-old fight that he has, just get some energy, some succor, some support, some solace. So I land in New Jersey and attend that event. And I got transformed. Marathon runners, they run, keep running. There's a concept called the second wind, that they almost give up, and at some point in time, they get a second wind, and then they complete the run. That event gave me the second wind. Thank you, Rajiv, for giving me a second life. Because the kind of emotion the Hindu Samaj showed that day, the gratitude, the love, the affection that they showed, it was palpable in the room. It was just, I could feel it. I could feel it. And I told Rajiv, this is something very transformative. Then on the flight back, I was reflecting about it. And I wrote a small note about Rajiv. And he asked me to share it on Twitter, which I'm not on Twitter, but I did share. I'll just read it out for you. A tribute to Rashtriya Jnana Yodha. I call him a Jnana Yodha. He's a fighter. Most successful entrepreneurs who have had good exits, I had a good exit too, he had a good exit too, quietly retire to play golf and become angels. But Rajiv decided to become a devil to the Western academia. He was just Rashtriya Rishis. For centuries, whenever needed, Bharat has given rise to Rashtriya Rishis, spiritual and intellectual monks who guided the nation. Adi Shankaracharya walked from one end of the subcontinent to the other twice, reviving and restoring Dharma through debate. Swami Vivekananda, Dayananda Saraswati, Aurobindo inspired the nation with their thought and active engagement in society. Post-independence, we saw Swami Chinmayananda, Swami Dayananda Saraswati. But Rashtriya Jnanis, Rashtriya Rishis are different, Rashtriya Jnanis are different. We had post-independence, we had Ram Swarup, we had Sitaram Goel. They continued the work silently through the voice of India. But there was a need for an awakening. Post-liberalization, post-non-hostile governments, Bharat was ready to wake up. A prosperous middle class, a diaspora emerged, digitally connected and more confident. Yet, new challenges arose, those from Western academia. We needed someone who was a Rashtriya Gnani, but something more. We needed a Rashtriya Jnana Yodha. As a scholar, he thinks and writes with deep insights and civilizational issues. He is unafraid to engage with adversaries. He rallies other Hindus to become self-aware of their identity and the issues they face. And he builds an ecosystem, which is what we are seeing today, of like-minded organizations. And sure enough, a Rashtriya Jnana Yodha, Rajiv Malhotra, was born. So, and I go on, and it's a long ode to Rajiv. You know, we should never stop dreaming. 27th of, actually it's 26th of July, I had a dream. And this is, I can show you the WhatsApp message that I sent to Rajiv. July morning. Rajiv, I got a dream that a few of us got together and formed a committee of hosts and celebrated your 75th on September 15th. Wikipedia said it was September 15th, so I said September 15th, in a grand function in Delhi. I feel you deserve a similar function in New Jersey, or like New Jersey, in Bharat too. He was very bashful. He said no. Then I said, I was so happy and transformed with the kind of love and outpouring of support you received from so many people from around the world. I was fortunate to witness it. I felt that Bharat should also venerate your efforts. So I'm looking at it from that angle. And I go on and saying that, look, I don't have the capability to pull this off. I need your help and all that. And this is the WhatsApp message that I sent him. This was on 27th of July. Today, on the 15th of November, that dream got fulfilled. Give energy to your dharmic dreams. Dreams that are for your gurus, dreams for people who are doing selfless work. Have energy, have dreams, and give it. It will become a reality. Today is a proof of that dreams, dharmic dreams, will become real. Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you very much for that. Then the issue came. What should we do? I was saying that it's a committee of hosts. Then we were discussing, debating, and then we came up with this. Look, we did the first meeting of Bharatiya Banyan Tree Initiative. We should do it under that heading. Then it was an initiative. Then we said, no, let us make it a network and let us give life to that organization. So that dream has resulted in the Banyan Tree Network being formed. He envisaged it as a Banyan Tree initiative on the 20th of April, and that formed with this kind of a relationship between a Guru Sishya. It formed into what we are seeing as Bharatiya Banyan Tree Network. So I'm very, very pleased that all of you are here. I very warmly welcome all of you. Long back, when I started, I prepared a framework called RID. RID, how the various global forces are conspiring to get rid of Sanatanis. So RID, what do I mean by RID? Rights, our rights are affected. Our identity is distorted and digested, which Rajiv has so beautifully articulated in Body of Life, and our demographics. So RID, the issues that we face today can be captured in these three letters, RID, rights, identity, and demographics. Today, I am, the kind of work that we at Indica do is focused on the identity. We do not have the capability to focus on the rights or the demographics, but we focus on the identity. And within that, my own swabhava is to focus on preservation and promotion, not so much in the protection space. So today, I feel very happy that a collaboration between me and Rajiv is that he's protecting us like the soldier, and I'm able to collaborate with him on the preservation side and the promotion side. So it's I believe it's a marriage made in heaven, Rajiv, and I look forward to working with you. I want to formally launch another initiative that I personally am starting today. I want to launch this. We have been at Indica giving a number of grants, and institutionally we have given a wide variety of grants over the years for every cause we have been. Like how Rajiv started those days, we also have a plethora of grants that we give. But somewhere in this whole thing, I did not feel transformed. It was like I started doing, but I was not becoming. I was not getting the sense that I am feeling inner transformation. So this space, you can check up the website, is called Kohari, kohari.org. And this space that is a personal space. I want it to be like the Bihar Super 30, work with select number of people and do three things. I want to be a coach, I want to collaborate with them, and I want to contribute to their work. It's a very personal space, Kohari. And I now request in front of all of you that I want to request Rajiv that I want to be his co-traveler. And I want to coach students, his school of thought. I want to collaborate with him and create new body of work. And finally, I want to contribute my time and my resources such that his legacy survives not just this, but for several centuries, his legacy should continue. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rajiv.
अब इस संध्या का एक महत्वपूर्ण क्षण, a life that has challenged, a life that has questioned, a life that has created, a voice that has shaped Indic thought across continents. It's my honor and privilege to invite Shri Rajiv Malhotra ji to share his reflections. Rajiv ji.
So when I was preparing for this, what the team said is I should do a reflection on my journey, because I haven't wanted to share my autobiography. I have not written my autobiography. I don't think it's very important, because that distracts away from the message. The messenger is less important than the message. So I have not wanted to do that. Thank you, Ji. Thank you. It's okay. Thank you. I think I'll start rather than. आप लोग उनका रुका दिए. Can we move this? I want to see them. Here. No. Here. Okay. They've given me a lot of homework now to read all this. Read करने के लिए. Thank you, Ji. So they wanted me to explain my journey, the ups and downs, the failures, successes, and what lessons can be learned from that. And I thought that's okay. I can definitely do that, because I reflect on it quite often. And I want to. So I decided that I have a few points I wrote down. I want to convey these in the time that I have. So I'll first talk about where I've concluded, which is developing a school of thought. I'll explain what is a school of thought. There's a Marxist school of thought, which has been around almost 200 years. It's very powerful, very successful. It's being reproduced generation to generation. Other people are enhancing it, and other spin-offs are coming out of it. So it's not static. It's a dynamic thing. But it satisfies certain requirements to be a school of thought. It's not just vichar. And there are many schools of thought. There is critical race theory in the West. There is Marxism. There is feminism, Freudianism, all these kind of schools of thought. And in our tradition also, we have, Adi Shankara started a school of thought, and then it spun off many other schools of thought. Now, having internal consistency of framework, logic, and vocabulary is very important. If you want to train AI with your knowledge, and expect it to represent your point of view, the common thing people are doing is कि खूब सारी textbooks लाओ, खूब सारी books लाओ और feed कर दो, but you get khichdi, and that khichdi is not a school of thought. So if you were to feed the Advait and Vishisht Advait and Dvait texts and ask a question, it will take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, a little bit from there, and you will get contradiction. I can quote correctly from each of the major schools of Vedant correctly, but by mixing them in a certain way, I can produce gibberish. So that is the problem you get when you have too many voices. So if you take all the people who've spoken your manthan, let's say you're running one of these congresses or lit fests, and you take hundreds of people or dozens of people who've spoken there, and you put them together, feed all of that into an AI system, कि भी ये हमारी भारतीय school of thought है, or while each of them individually is making sense and coherent, collectively they will be full of contradictions. So a school of thought usually starts with a single thought, single thinker, and then it spawns from there, whether it is Marxism, Freudianism, critical race theory has a starting point, Adi Shankara has a starting point. And besides the inner coherence which this provides you, the other requirement is that it has to be very broad. It has to cover a lot of things. It cannot be just an explanation of the nature of the self and the nature of the ultimate reality. And that's a school of thought for philosophical purposes. It is a school of thought. But for today, what I'm working on, what I've been trying to do is develop a school of thought which is a Bharatiya school of thought based on Vedic first principles for addressing, engaging the world today, understanding the world today through our drishti, giving responses through our drishti. So that is the ultimate. It's like a toolkit to address the issues in a coherent manner. Now, this school of thought consists of frameworks. Now, we have certain terms in our tradition also. We have Siddhant. So, Siddhant is a logic to argue a point of view. You can have a Siddhant to convince a person of a certain conclusion. You know the conclusion and you can argue your conclusion very logically. That is a Siddhant. So, that has something to do with what I'm talking about. Then there's another term called Mimamsa. Mimamsa is a broader worldview that you can use to make take many positions on many different things. So there is a Marxist Mimamsa. There is a Marxist Mimamsa. We should think of it that way. There is a critical race theory Mimamsa. These are Mimamsas. And if you take it in that way, then you know that it becomes the job of our scholars to respond. That is what Purva Paksha calls for. As long as we don't think of it that way, we are not taking it seriously. So I have, throughout my career, I have taken other people's views very seriously. And I called it the Purva Paksha tradition, never trivialize them. So this, a particular framework, and I have developed 108 frameworks over time. I'll discuss the origins of these, what they are. And then we are going to develop a whole lot of books on the frameworks and the school of thought, which is the next project we are doing. We're finishing these. It's a large piece of work. Now, a framework is a toolkit to address a certain class of problems, a certain category of problems. So one framework can address a certain kind of problem, another framework can address another set of problems. So what has happened is I faced something and I gave a response using my Vedic first principles as my starting point. And I have to improvise and see if it works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it's jugaad. You do jugaad when you're arguing with people, and sometimes it works very nicely. And then there's another situation, and then there's another situation. I'm facing these situations all the time, hundreds of them, thousands of them over a period. And then I find there's a pattern. There are some common frameworks. एक है वो कास्ट के ऊपर आपको अटैक करेंगे और उनके अटैक करने का तरीका भी यही है. These are the 5 or 10 standard things they'll say. So you begin to develop a common approach to that class of problems. And so this crystallizes into patterns कि ये pattern हो रहे हैं. Usually these are the patterns that follow. And how I'm going to respond to it, how I anticipate what he's going to say, how I can even tell him more about his point of view than he knows, how I can dig deep and find some flaws in it. So all this becomes a framework for that particular class of problems. And so this way, given that the number of problems I've had to deal with is very large, so I've built many, many frameworks. So there is a Hinduphobia framework to discuss Hinduphobia. There's a framework on mutual respect as opposed to tolerance. Tolerance is very patronizing and very, looking down at somebody. There's a framework called digestion, how they digest us like, a prey digests an animal and jo nutritious hai wo to le liya, jo nahi ठीक लगा वो उसको फेंक दिया. So our civilization is being digested. So there's a whole framework on how they digest, what are the types of digestion, what is the motive for the digestion, how do we counter it. So the digestion of Sanskrit words into English by translating them is a very serious problem. I notice a pattern कि हमारे अपने guru, they talk about pran is breathing, breath, and soul, atma is soul, and ye wo. And it really bothers me because as somebody who understands Western thought, I do understand Western philosophy, these things when they are translated lose their meaning. So there is this mistranslation, digestion of Sanskrit words in Natyashastra, in Ganit Shastra, in Ayurveda, in all kinds of things, in Ashtadhyayi. So I started developing a framework on what I called Sanskrit non-translatables, which means there are words that cannot be translated. I have one of these books called Sanskrit non-translatables. When I discussed this book at the Indian Embassy in Washington, they didn't know what I'm going to discuss, so I was discussing this whole idea. And the byline of the book is the Sanskritization of English, which means we are enriching your language by putting words that have no substitute in English. You should take the word as it is. You should start using the word pran because you will learn new things about human beings, about pran. Whereas if you say breath, there is nothing new to learn. So by Sanskritizing English, I'm enriching English. Actually, the Westerners sitting there loved it. They thought it's a very good idea. But Indian Embassy stopped inviting me after that. I have never been invited, and what they told some of my people is कि बहुत controversial बात बोल दी इसने. For them to say that we have things that cannot be translated is controversy. This is the way things are. So anyway, so this is one example of a framework. Now, when somebody digests you, and you can't tell them don't digest because it's free speech. They can do what they can take yoga and they make Christian yoga out of it. They can take whatever things and make something else out of it. So that's digestion. So that's a framework. But sometimes these frameworks work together with each other. So I developed another framework to counter. I developed a framework called poison pill. Poison pill is a corporate term. It's a business term. Poison pill works like this. If somebody wants to do a hostile takeover of your company, your company is traded on the stock market, you can't stop it. You can buy shares. Then you have a provision called a poison pill, that's the name of it, such that it gets activated, it triggers certain actions upon a takeover, such that the person taking over it'll be blow up in his face. So matlab, it's like a nice laddu, uske andar poison hai. And you are invited to eat it, but it will harm you. So that's a poison pill. So you see, I created, this is the strategy with which I worked. So I'll give you an example. After 9/11, there was a lot of anger against Muslims in USA. There were people being killed and all that. So suddenly the Pakistanis were very bhai-bhai with the Indians. And so I was invited to Houston and all these places I went. And there was this one lady who was running a radio show, a Pakistani lady. And she wanted कि Rajiv bhai, aapko jarur hai, bahut acha hoga, baat karenge, like that. So she started this show, interviewing, welcoming me and saying, Rajiv bhai, I am so happy to learn about your idea of mutual respect. Mutual respect, that we respect you, but you should respect us. She said, because we believe in that. We believe in mutual respect also. We are all so happy. I said, I'm so delighted you believe in mutual respect, because that means you respect my worship of the feminine divine, and you worship and you accept my karma theory, and you respect my reincarnation theory, and you respect, and this last one was a big, and you respect my worshipping of the divine in visual form, which you call idol worship, we call devatas, devis and murtis. She hung up. So this is the poison pill. Poison pill is कि आप हमारी बात mutual respect खा रहे हो, ले रहे हो, लेकिन वो mutual respect क्या है? What are you respecting? ये भी सुनना चाहिए ना. आप हमें respect दे रहे हो, पर क्या respect दे रहे हो? उसका substance क्या है? वो मैं बताऊंगा. Then they can't accept. Then they can't offer you mutual respect. That is the point. So they have to either accept your all the conditions about mutual respect I was naming. Then she was be in trouble. What is she going to do now? She'll be stuck in a, because then she's accepting idol worship also. In her way, it's impossible, right? Or he has to refuse this mutual respect business. So she's stuck in a bind. What to do? So these strategies of these 108 frameworks have evolved as strategies for conversation, for dialogue. Politely, aram se baat karo. But if they are rude, you can also give it back. Yeah? So you have to understand defense, offense, all these kind of things in this kind of game. So a combination of the terms Siddhant, Mimamsa, Darshan, this is what I am calling a school of thought. And a school of thought cannot be a combination of different 50 आपके पास speakers बहुत बड़े हैं, अच्छे हैं. You may be a publishing house, or you may be having a forum, and you take all these great speakers and you say हमारा school of thought हो गया. Just because they are pro-Bharat and pro-Sanatan Dharma does not mean that they all fit together as a school of thought. Chances are 99% or 100% there's a lot of contradictions among them in their vocabulary, in their style of reasoning, and certainly if you use that as a training data set, this is a technical term in AI, if you think of their works as a training data set, that AI system will hallucinate. Hallucination is a technical term in AI, which means full of contradictions. It comes up with something that doesn't make any sense because the training was not done properly. So I have been working on this for a long time, but in the last 10, 12 years since I started getting into AI very seriously, it was my topic when I was in graduate school in computer science way back. AI was my topic, although we did not have the hardware, we did not have the ability to implement it. Theory to thi na us waqt. So I was into that. So I revived my interest 10 years ago in order to take my school of thought and put it into AI. We are now actively doing that. For the last few years, we've been very seriously pursuing that. And now we are making some breakthroughs because it's not an easy thing to do. The standard tools that are out there are not going to work. We have to develop some new things. And in 2026 onwards, we will start introducing some good products using our school of thought to debate, to argue, to explain things, to make life easier for us. And there is a specific product which my dear friend Mukunda Rao ji will appreciate when we announce it, because it's something it's our gift for your 100th anniversary, a very unique gift we are going to give you. And this will be an AI-based very big thing for your organization, but we are not discussing it. आपको privately बता देंगे इसके बारे में. So these are the frameworks I'm talking about. Now the Kapila Vatsyan ji, my dear friend who was a mentor, she's no more, took my project. We developed the history of Indian science and technology. We started doing 30 volumes. Usme se aadhi volume, half of them we finished. They're published. They're available. And then we ran out of funding, so we could not continue. So she always scolded me for one thing. She said, what is the metaphysics behind all of this that you have not captured? He said ये metallurgy है, ये कोई stone carving है, ये water harvesting है, ये cotton के बारे में है, ये, you know, all these different accomplishments we did, you've documented very nicely. Nobody had done 14 volumes. Even today, nobody has done 14 volumes on history of science and technology like we did. And then this Michel Danino, who was one of the persons involved in our thing, he used to attend our conferences, annual conferences. He did a summary volume of all of these, and then he started taking around and making the whole concept very popular. And this started the IKS movement. This I'm talking about, 20 years ago. But Kapila ji, who was one of the 3 editors, the other 2 were M.G.K. Menon, who was head of the Space Commission and Atomic Energy Commission, very senior scientist, and J.P. Joshi, who was the Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. He's the one who discovered Dholavira, so he's a young man. So he's a very famous fellow. All 3 of our editors were top people. So, but Kapila ji would always scold me and say, कि ये जो अलग-अलग books हैं, अलग-अलग books हैं, इनको जोड़ने के लिए where is the underlying metaphysics? What is the underlying metaphysics? अब जो वो कारीगर ये आयरन पिलर बना रहा है और जो कहीं और कुछ और काम कर रहा है, टेक्सटाइल्स निकाल रहा है और कहीं और कुछ कर रहा है, these separate people, they all have a particular posture, a particular drishti, a particular point of view, a way they are doing this, and this is informed by our philosophy. तो ये तो आपने किया ही नहीं. So this is a very, this what she's pointing out is there is a school of thought from where all these separate things come. This is what she's telling me. So this is where I have to tell you, my dear friend Sonal Mansingh, who I'm glad is sitting here, I don't know if Sonal remembers this, but many decades back, I think it was in the 90s, in New York City, probably somewhere near the library, we are having dinner together, and I'm talking about all kind of things like what I'm working on, and she tells me something which I've never forgotten. It was such an important, powerful moment. She says, Rajiv, we are the only philosophy where we actually dance our philosophy. Wow, kya baat. So you see, philosophies are, if you go to a Western philosophy department, those guys, there's no way they could be dancing. They are all into very hairy intellectual theory, ye wo plana laga ke, ye wo karke, all kind of weird stuff, very high-flown jargon and all. But she said that this philosophy is danced, we sing it, we do all the kalas are based on the same. So this is the beauty of a deep school of thought, that it has to permeate and it has to express itself in many domains, many subject matter areas. And you cannot do this in reverse. You cannot say कि वो आदमी एक हिस्ट्री की बात करेगा, वो आदमी आके कुछ कास्ट सिस्टम के कह देगा, और वो आदमी कहेगा कि हमारा दिल्ली आयरन पिलर बहुत ग्रेट था, और वो कहेगा वहाँ पर वो पुष्पक विमान भी थे. But none of this comes from a common foundation. It is not what I call integrally unified. The term integral unity is a term that Sri Aurobindo uses a lot. Integral yoga. All the yoga is not just a sum total of yoga A, B, C, but there is an integral yoga which expresses itself in all these different yogas. So the same way there is an integral unity, and then I realized there is an integral unity of the whole cosmos, because the whole cosmos is after all Brahman, Sagun Brahman, therefore there is a unity because it's one persona. So if the whole cosmos is unified, the macrocosm is unified with the microcosm inside me. No wonder all our arts and sciences are basically different ways of saying the same thing in solving different problems. Koi maths mein kar raha hai, koi linguistics mein kar raha hai, koi dance mein kar raha hai. So we are dancing our philosophy in the sense that the philosophy is imbibed in all our disciplines. So that's the integral unity. Therefore, a school of thought which you want to have for today's discussions on whatever it is, jo bhi world mein politics ho raha hai, global geopolitics ho raha hai, if you want something which is applicable to all of that, applicable to today's people who say कि हमारे problem caste है, ये है, वो है, if you really want to have such a wide range school of thought, it has to be centrally founded, and usually it comes out of a single mind or a small group of people who are working together for many years, and not कि आज हम 5 speakers per panel और इतने इतने पैनल हो जाएंगे, सबके पैनल वाले 20-20 मिनट लगा देंगे और उसको सारा को हम AI में फीड करके स्कूल ऑफ थॉट निकाल देंगे, ऐसे काम नहीं बनेगा. So this is why the school of thought is important. Now, an example, a practical example of what will this do. Now, many of you know the term ESG index. E is environment, S is society, G is governance. ये जो ESG index है, this is in corporate America. It's come from corporate America to India. All the big corporate houses have an ESG index and they're evaluating कि हमारा ESG index high है, low है, क्या हमारी rating है, उसके मुताबिक हमको funding मिलेगी, उसके मुताबिक people will think we are a good citizen or not a good citizen. So how good you are as a business or as any organization, as an NGO, as a university, it's being measured by ESG index. So that ESG index is a Western criteria, Western lens, Western approach to evaluating how well an organization is doing. So I am not satisfied with our people using ESG index. I'm creating a Dharma Index. This is my creation of a Dharma Index, where the values will be Dharma values. And based on Dharma values, we will use AI, and we are developing this. We're going to have AI in order to be able to evaluate an organization, an individual, a bill, whatever, and document as per Dharma Index, how does it rate? How is its rating? We're going to do that. So that is the kind of thing you get from the school of thought. To have a Dharma Index, you need to know what is our school of thought according to which we are going to evaluate other people. Otherwise, there will be no basis, no criteria for evaluating them. And जो ESG है, उसमें there is a term, all of you are told, carbon footprint. कि आपका carbon footprint कितना है? If it is bad, then it means that you're burning a lot of fossil fuels, you're spoiling the environment, climate, ये वो. I've broadened that to karma footprint, because it's not just enough to not spoil the environment. What about animals? What about health? What about your body? What about harmony? What about, your karma footprint would be negative if you are destroying people's language, or if you are converting them from their native tradition, or if you are putting GMOs, all these kinds. Whereas none of that is going to spoil your ESG rating. And none of that is going to spoil your carbon footprint rating. So you see, we have become colonized through indexes. There is an index colonization going on. We are colonized by these criteria of beauty pageant, हो गया ये, किसी को Pulitzer Prize मिल गया, किसी को क्या Nobel Prize मिल गया, Trump को मिलना चाहिए था, शायद कई लोग समझते हैं, whatever, right? So this kind of nonsense, we are colonized by this way of thinking. आजकल की जो colonization, it is not that very blatant with a danda in front of you, but it is subtle, it is gyan, it is knowledge, it is frameworks. These frameworks that we have adopted are very, very colonized frameworks, and we need to rebuttal the framework with the framework. So it is not कि उसने राजीव ने एक breaking India term लगा दी थी, शुरू कर दी थी. It is not a terminology. It is not कि वो Hinduphobia term निकाला था, वो हमने निकाला भी नहीं था. It basically, Hinduphobia, the discovery I made of a framework, has to do with looking at what is the constituents of Hinduphobia, what are the methodologies being used by them to develop this, how is it being propagated, what are its dangers, what do we do about it. So there's a whole algorithm. Think of each framework as a kind of an algorithm to understand, explain a particular syndrome, and to give a counter algorithm in response. So it is really for people who are into computer science who understand algorithms, it is basically a very algorithmic approach to understanding arguments, understanding different points of view, and coming up with ways of countering it. So therefore, this approach of frameworks I have is very suited for computerization, for AI, teaching AI your frameworks. I'm training AI with frameworks, our frameworks. So it can apply this way of thinking. So this framework of Varna, Jati, Caste is a framework, because we are explaining कि जो बोल रहे हैं, basically they have misunderstood, distorted, mistranslated Varna, Jati as caste. This is why it is not a correct thing. This is what the correct thing is. So all these frameworks are a way to engage the world. The byline of this book, 108 frameworks, it says 108 frameworks for engaging the world. So this is not theory, it is actually engaging the world. Now, this has taken me a lot of my time, so I will have to go quickly. The second big idea I wanted to discuss was what has been our output, because it's not just random pie in the sky. We have been facing issues right in the Kurukshetra. It is not the same thing as somebody sitting here in India and doing copy paste कि वहाँ ये कहते हैं वो कहते हैं. But I asked these people who are influencers, जो social media में influencers हैं, बहुत माने हुए हैं. I asked, have you ever gone in front of them before an audience of people who believe in a certain thing and you are born to oppose it? Have you ever faced them and done it in front of them where you are the only person, you are alone? And the answer is they've never done it. So if you have never done this yourself, you know, it's all secondary, second, third kind of hand information. You have to have encountered, you have to have faced it, you have to have stuck your neck out to be a Kshatriya in this kind of a Kurukshetra, and then your game improves. Each time you face the same pattern, your game keeps improving. Then you have to do a lot of reading and studying of the other side, doing the Purva Paksha. You have to do a lot of reading and studying of your side to come up with your arguments. And you have to do a serious meditation to really go deeper than the surface level. This kind of a tapasya is not commonly found. And unless you are doing that, you are just writing a history book here or some book there. And that's not what we are trying to do. So if I were to explain to you what we are doing, every one of the 20 books that we have published, that I have had written, every one of those 20 books is dealing with a space, a particular topic, a particular problem area, where I have spent a lot of time doing actual encounters, actual fighting, actual debating, arguing, and improve my game over and over again. When I feel that it is good enough, I write a book. Until then, I'm not ready to write a book. So besides the 20 that I've written, I have another 30 books in the pipeline at different stages to write. And I'm determined I'm going to finish writing them. That's my promise to myself, that I have to finish this work. So the types of encounters and the types of books that came out, broadly speaking, you can say they are constructive or disruptive. Disruptive means आप जो कह रहे हैं हम उसको disrupt करेंगे, उसको negate करेंगे, उसको oppose करेंगे, because there's problems in it. And constructive is हम अपनी तरफ से कुछ बता रहे हैं, something positive. So for instance, the constructive being different is a book which defines who we are. It is not about किसी की निंदा, but this is who we are. The Indian grand narrative that came out of it. That's an example of a constructive. The History of Science and Technology 14-volume series is constructive. हमने Indian psychology के ऊपर we held conferences 10 years in a row and came up with so many books. The book on mind sciences gives you about almost 70 or 80 projects we did in this area. We called it mind sciences. So that is a constructive area of work. We are not arguing against anybody. We are just showing the mind sciences deep in our yoga, in our philosophy, in all of these, all the techniques that are going on, that have been going on for a very long time. And in doing that, I discovered the Westerners have digested so much. Yoga Nidra, they called it lucid dreaming. Vipassana, they called it mindfulness. हमारे लोग भी, हमारे डॉक्टर भी कहते हैं वो mindfulness practice कर रहे हैं. But John Kabat-Zinn, who is supposed to be the founder and trademark this term mindfulness, I have been on record debating with him, and he admitted that this is Vipassana. Goenka taught, and he learned it from there. And so even they admit, if you pin them down, that they have digested these things. The problem with digestion is only partly that it is loss of attribution to us. Bigger problem is that when they digest, they distort. Because to digest, it has to fit the DNA of the host. आप जिस चीज़ को खा रहे हो आपके DNA में फिट होना चाहिए. यदि फिट नहीं होगा तो जो चीज़ फिट नहीं होती उसको आप फेंक देंगे, निकाल देंगे. It's excreted. So you see, the food, if our tradition is like the food they're eating and digesting, then a large part of it will not fit their worldview. It will not fit their, क्योंकि उसमें कोई देवता आ गया दिल से, अरे भाई उसको what to do with the देवता, or suppose कहीं something, some idea is contained in one of our texts which they cannot believe, they cannot accept, then they have to delete it, they have to find some way to do some jugaad and fix it some way. And that is why digestion is inherently destructive. That is the problem. So we found this to be the case with the mind sciences. And now I have another unpublished series of books on our mind sciences. Our mind sciences. Having done the disruption of what the digestion is doing, that is only first part. But that positions me, it gives me so much masala, so much information on how our work has been digested into their work. So now I'm going to reverse digest, take it back, and say this is from our first principles, our Vedic first principles. This is how it really is. So we're going to do that. Then another constructive, positive work that we have been doing is social sciences. You know, when I started talking about Indian grand narrative, people said कि history book लिख लें, आपको history book लिखनी चाहिए. Some people would go to all these events and say, Rajiv को history book लिखनी चाहिए. They thought that grand narrative is history. Well, the history is one part of it. Grand narrative also is philosophy. But what about social sciences? अभी हमारे country में the most colonized subject is sociology. Sociology in the NCRT books, sociology in the UPSC exams. Sociology, it all starts with in the 1800s, some West, all the 20 great social thinkers being taught are all of 100% of them are Westerners. कोई हमारे social thought है ही नहीं, as if we never thought about society. So no wonder we must be very abusive people, because we don't even have a social thought. So this business to decolonize, one of the most important things is decolonizing social sciences. And the book Battle for Sanskrit is actually a very serious critique of the way our Sanskrit and Sanskriti have been understood using social sciences that is not friendly to us. So this is an important thing that we did. On the disruptive side, I'll give you a few examples. One of the major ones was the use of Freudian lens to sexualize the interpretation of our deities, our gurus, our symbols. This became the fashion in the Western Academy. This is where there was this, this Wendy Doniger and this Sheldon Pollock, all these. I don't know if Paul Cartwright, all these kind of people. Paul Cartwright. I don't know if Monica Arora is here. He was there in the morning. But Monica, I fought this battle. I exposed this, went on, and they reported to the FBI that हमारे को certain Hindu fanatics are attacking us, these scholars. And some of the FBI people showed up at Swami Dayanand Saraswati's Arshvidya Gurukulam to find out कि यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है. I mean, they found कि ये तो लोग philosophers हैं, यहाँ क्या होना है. So, but they tried their best to kind of disrepute us, they tried their best. And that is when Monica Arora started a lawsuit in Delhi, in the High Court, against those scholars, Western scholars, and she won. So that was a very important milestone. Every time I meet Monica, I tell her that we were partners in that. So then there was this whole, another disruption we did was this idea that Hinduism was invented in the 1800s by people like Vivekanand. There was no such thing before. It's all, there are too many gods, there are too many rituals, there are too many, everything is so much chaos. There is no unity, there's nothing, it's not one religion, it's all kind of things going on. So therefore we don't have to give rights to Hindus. Every time we would say, Hinduphobia ko we include karna chahiye. When you're talking about Islamophobia, we should have Hinduphobia. Or when we used to say that you have to give credit to Hindu Dharma, Sanatan Dharma, for these various discoveries that you are in medicine, in yoga, etc. Every time we wanted to represent Hinduism in a positive way, they would say, but what Hinduism? Hinduism to kuch cheez hi nahi hai. and they would cite our sources. Our own scholars written all this stuff. They say, because our scholars wrote that there is something called neo-Hinduism, which means Hinduism is neo, it's new. पहले Hinduism थी ही नहीं, पहले तो कुछ और ही था, इधर उधर जादू टूना काफी लोग करते थे, and there was the unification happened during the British into one religion. So I wrote a rebuttal to this. That's another one of my books. Then this Breaking India, which became a very big thing. General Bakshi is not here, but he is the guy who many people made a big thing out of it. But he's probably the main spokesman who took that book and one TV station after another for 2, 3, 4 years. He would go and really hammer hard that book and made it a household thing, made it into a bestseller. Because we were pointing out what these Breaking India forces are. And that is when the study of foreign missionaries acting in India became very popular. I don't know if Madhu Kishwar is here, but Madhu Kishwar organized conferences in Delhi to talk about the FCRA laws. And I had an opportunity to no, this is Madhu Kishwar doing it, I remember. And we developed this whole FCRA, countering the FCRA, and then the government made some new laws on FCRA. And so, and then this Aryan-Dravidian divide. The Aryan-Dravidian divide was another topic that General Bakshi took up, and many more people have taken up since then. But way back 25 years ago, we were discussing this, the evidence against the Aryan-Dravidian divide. Very strong and very serious. And this debate has to continue because, you see, people keep declaring victory, कि कोई Aryan में believe नहीं करता. But let me tell you this, Dravidian में तो believe करते हैं ना. So if they believe in Dravidianism, then Aryanism is the other side of it. Aryanism is the shadow side of Dravidianism. So you cannot say that we have won this Aryan debate as long as the Dravidianism is alive, because you have to take the battle further. You have to take the battle all the way to the Dravidians and say that this business of Dravidianism, you have to counter it. So there are these disruptions that we've started. One of the most consequential disruptions has to do with Sringeri, because I found out one day that Sringeri Mutt has signed an MOU with Columbia University, under which they will turn over the study of Sringeri and Adi Shankara studies to Columbia, and Columbia and other Ivy Leagues will represent the teachings of Adi Shankara and the Advait Vedanta. And so I was very concerned, because the person in charge of this committee in Columbia was Sheldon Pollock. I had been fighting with him. In fact, my friend Amarjeev Lochan is somewhere here. Amarjeev Lochan is the person who took me to Bangkok to the Sanskrit Congress, 2005 में हुई, 2015 में हुई, उसके पहले भी. He is the one who was championing all these things and bringing my work, which was considered very controversial. He would bring my work and make me keynote speaker and say, आप बोलेंगे, सारा कुछ बोलेंगे. In fact, in one day he called me that he said he was very scared. I hope you don't mind my saying all this, but he was very scared that Murli Manohar Joshi is going to throw him in jail. Because of all this, because he was very courageous in doing all these things. He organized these conferences where Infinity Foundation and the Crown Princess of Thailand were collaborating. We have an MOU and we were going to collaborate. So I would be one of the top 2 or 3 keynote speakers. And in that keynote speech, I would say all these things. And this is considered by many of our people to be very dangerous, कि ऐसे बात नहीं करनी चाहिए. And all I was talking was, my paper was called Sanskrit and Geopolitics, the geopolitics of Sanskrit. And I was talking about all these things which later turned into books later. And in us zamane mein, it was considered controversial for an Indian to dare to speak, because the adhikaris were the other side. And they were the ones who control the world of Sanskrit. So to even stand up and say that, these are mistranslations, these are wrong social sciences being applied, social theories being applied incorrectly, okay, and on and on and on. So this, I had already had this big fight with Sheldon Pollock as the leader of that side. And so I'm glad that thanks to Amarjeev, I was able to go and make a big international thing out of it. And so, therefore, fast forward a couple of decades, when this Columbia University signed this MOU with Sringeri, and Sheldon Poller, the same man that I had fought, he is in charge of creating these new, I call them the Columbia Matha. The Columbia mein Matha bana rahe hain. This is ridiculous. So I wanted to take it to the Shankaracharya, but all my faxes and emails would be intercepted by somebody who we found later. My dear friend Mukunda Rao has saved me from legal actions and all that, but he saved me. I am very grateful to you. So I criticized all that. And fortunately for me, somebody on our side knew how to go around these people to the Shankaracharya and present him my plea. And a meeting was arranged. I went there, had a meeting with the Shankaracharya. So the magic word I used was Purva Paksha. So I said, Adi Shankara used to do Purva Paksha. It is not about uski credentials kya the. Mandan Mishra had more credentials. He was, a young man without those credentials. But he said, I want to do this debate. I want to do this. It is required in our tradition. You have to accept it. And you are the keeper of this whole tradition. So I want to do Purva Paksha with Sheldon Pollock, whom you've appointed in your MOU to be in charge of your Matha. I want to do Purva Paksha because I feel that he's got total wrong, and your own people will not accept what he's writing about you. Your own people, what he's writing is insulting. It is not only incorrect, but it is also very abusive. And your own people need to do homework, and they need to do Purva Paksha. Please give me 90 days before you implement this new thing, that MOU, because they were going to implement it. Please give me 90 days and I will put together a 100-page report, and then you can decide. So they delayed, and my 100-page report became bigger, and I wanted more extension, but I would keep sending drafts to tell them कि मैं काम कर रहा हूँ. And it took me a year, and I produced this 400-500 page, The Battle for Sanskrit, and that killed the whole project at Columbia. So you see, these are not just random books. These are books as a chronicle of a battle, a chronicle of a milestone of some impact. Each one made some impact. Otherwise, writing books though is much easier. I could write 100 of them. So then another one we did, which we call 2.0, Breaking India 2.0. And we discovered that at Harvard and other Ivy Leagues, lot of Indian billionaires are spending a huge amount of money to put up chairs like Mittal chair and this Mahindra chair and Tatas and Bajaj and Reliance people in Stanford, all of them putting up lot of money, lot of chairs. So this book, Snakes in the Ganga, which says कि गंगा में सांप बैठे हुए हैं, तो ये आपको समझना चाहिए. The Harvard is considered like कि भी गंगा है, यहाँ पर तो knowledge की गंगा यही है, तो हम कह रहे हैं उसी में सांप बैठे हुए हैं. So then I remember somebody from one of these billionaires, I won't name, he raised his hand when I was at Harvard, because उनके लोग तो बैठे ही होते हैं वहाँ. So he raised his hand and he says, are you saying that so and so, he named that billionaire, जिसके नाम पर एक वहाँ center है, are you saying that he's a snake? So I said, no, but he's feeding the snakes. He's feeding the snakes. He's not a snake, he's a nice man, but he doesn't know, whatever. So वो लोग पूर्व पक्ष, they don't understand कि हम पूर्व. I told them कि before you invest your money, you should do पूर्व पक्ष. Have you done पूर्व पक्ष? They don't know what I'm talking about. So then I used a different term for which is corporate. I said due diligence. So I said, did you do due diligence before making an investment? See, this is a conversation I had with Rajat Gupta when he was head of McKinsey many years ago, because Harvard was going around saying that we want all the rich Indians to invest in our chairs and plana, and Rajat Gupta and McKinsey was facilitating it. So I went to him and I said, Rajat, I have a counter position to what you are saying. I don't think Indians should invest in this at all, because you have not put in safeguards as to what they will teach, what the point of view will be. They are so big, larger than life, because they're Harvard, कि उनकी बात ही सुन के आप लोग यू आर mesmerized, आप बेहोश हो जाते हो कि भी वो हार्वर्ड आ गया है, तो आपको तो यू हैव टू डू सम रिसर्च, investigation. So he didn't understand. He said, "Nani." I said, "Have you? Okay, you tell me how many American scholars full time in the university system are studying India? How many?" So कहता, I said, "I know the number because I go to the philosophy conference and the India section, religion conference and the Hinduism, Buddhism section. I go to the psychology conference. I go to the history, anthropology. I go to all these different social sciences, and I know I have a list of these people. They are members. I know who they are, and I gave him the exact number and what the breakdown is." He was very surprised. So then I said to him, McKinsey never advises a client to invest in an industry where there will be new industry without doing due diligence. And so did you do due diligence on Harvard before advising people to invest in it? So he was eating his apple, he just stopped right there. Essay. So I said, Rajat, you owe it to your clients to do due diligence. I do due diligence. I'm not even asking you to pay me. I just want you to read my work. So it really impacted him. So then we got a call from R.K. Mishra, who was Dhirubhai Ambani's right-hand man. And he is the one who founded ORF. ORF was Dhirubhai Ambani funded, and R.K. Mishra. And his wife Renuka, they came and stayed in our house a weekend. Indrani, you'll remember. So he had been approached by Harvard through all these people to raise money for some Dhirubhai Ambani chair. And so, unke liye 50 million is nothing, they would just do it. But he had heard that I have a problem, and he was smart enough to say, okay, I want to hear your point of view. So he called and he came over for a weekend. And I brought my team and we gave him a weekend of presentations on Harvard, only Harvard. This is what they teach in this subject, in this subject, in this subject. And we did a comparison between India, how they teach India, and how they treat China. We did that. Okay. And we saw, he was so impressed. He said, I'm going to tell Dhirubhai कि 1 rupee भी नहीं देना इनको. Okay. So you see, those were some of the high moments. But today, Mukesh Ambani has given them money. One of the worst anti-India, anti-Hindu scholars is one Hansen, and he is at Stanford. And do you know what his title is? His title is Reliance Dhirubhai Ambani Professor of India Studies. So अपना कंपनी का नाम और अपने बाप का नाम उस पर लगा दिया है और उसका पैसा दिया है. And the content that he's producing is such rubbish. I mean, it's not a secret. You can just go online and look at, you can ask ChatGPT, make a summary of all the anti-India and anti-Hindu statements made by the Dhirubhai Ambani, this fellow chair, Stanford, वो तुमको कितने pages निकाल के दे देगा. Quotation after quotation. But our people are sold out. I don't know. I wouldn't use the word sold out. Misinformed or somehow. So I have been doing this. This is the disruptive work that I have been doing. So now, a good project we started to respond to all of this was somebody called Arindam Chakravarti, a very good scholar in Hawaii. He's now in New York area. Good friend of mine, young scholar, raised with a guru in the Indian tradition, very sharp philosophically, but then he went to Oxford, got a Western education also on Western philosophy. So he knows Indian philosophy, he knows Western philosophy, perfect person. And so we funded for 10 years in a row, we funded a program on Indian philosophy at Harvard, $250,000 budget. No, not a small budget. We funded big time. And he was producing PhDs, he was doing a lot of things. Now, one of the high points was, I wanted him to teach our Sanskrit scholars how to argue with the West. Because I thought that somebody like me arguing second hand, मैं Sanskrit scholars को पूछता हूँ, फिर सीखता हूँ, फिर argue करता हूँ. So Sanskrit scholars should be doing Purva Paksha of the West directly, like we used to. So we figured out that to do that, first we have to summarize Western thought in Sanskrit and teach it to our Sanskrit scholars. So this guy was so brilliant, he actually wrote a book in Sanskrit. We have a soft copy somewhere. he wrote a book in Sanskrit summarizing the main arguments of Hegel, Kant, Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, all these German thinkers, British thinkers, French thinkers. You know, he took the top, say, 8 or 10 thinkers और उनके बारे में summarize किए उनके thoughts. And then under our grant, he went to Tirupati, the Sanskrit scholars there, and he went to Banaras, these two places, summer camps he had, to teach them. This is the, in Sanskrit, only Sanskrit allowed with all the scholars. This is what the Western thought is, aap uska jawab dijiye. And he came back in his report, and he said, Rajiv, you will be surprised how smart our Sanskrit people are. They are smarter than the people in JNU and Delhi. And he said कि सिर्फ उनको किसी ने बताया ही नहीं है what is this, किसका ये पूर्व पक्ष उनको ये masala, this material, this knowledge has never been presented to them in their language. So they don't know English. If they learn English, or the English used by the Western thinkers is so complicated. You see, when I'm doing my work to do a response, I consult and give grants to many scholars, traditional scholars, and they come and tell me कि हमको तो ये समझ ही नहीं आ रही क्या बोल रहे हैं, because the jargon is so heavy. So I have a lot of role as a middleman to do back and forth here and there. But in the case of this professor, he is a brilliant man, and so he translated the really serious, solid arguments, the most, the real tattva hota hai, the real arguments, all their siddhantas, he translated them into Sanskrit, and he went and conducted 2 summer institutes in a row, and got the students trained to respond. And so I said to him, I want to turn this into an ongoing program, and I wish I had done that. That was the 1990s, 20 साल से 25 साल से ज़्यादा. So here is a tragedy. I'm giving you the high moments and the low moments. So he was in my house, staying over. We used to meet a lot. And he got an offer to be Vice Chancellor at Tirupati University. And that would have been perfect place to go there and set this up. But he called a dear friend of his that Madhu introduced me to from CSDS, Ashish Da. And he called him and says, Ashish Da, ye mere ko offer aayi hai. Rajiv says, go for it. Ashish Da talked him out of it. Ashish Da said कि तू अपने आप को बर्बाद कर देगा, तेरे को हिंदू सैफरॉन वैफरॉन कह देंगे, तू अभी यूएसए में बैठा है, you got a good job, अच्छी जॉब है तेरी, you are very well respected, continue your career, don't get involved in all this nonsense. So he talked him out of it, and my project went nowhere. A year or 2 later, we stopped funding this whole project. But I'm just trying to tell you, we got very close. Suppose we had succeeded, then for the last 25 years, imagine we would have produced a large number of our pundits and scholars trained in how to argue back. You see, this is the kind of project we need to do. Now at this age, I can't start all this, but I have the background. I have so much material, I can help, advise, I can revive these projects if there is enough support. Now, time is short, but I will tell you 1 or 2 things about my personal process. This is what is my, people think that ye to sab ladaka aadmi hai, ladte hi jate sare. So he's always fighting or something. But I have a meditative side to me. I have a very serious and a deep meditation practice. And it's only because of that meditation practice that I'm able to get insights. I'm able to get certain kind of insights. And then I have to externalize these into language and take them out. And it is the sense of security within that allows me to withstand all the fight and all the galis and all the things that will happen. Who cares? So Amendra ji, you are encouraging me, so I will explain, because otherwise I was not going to explain. मैं explain करता हूँ. देखिए, in Sanskrit, the word Vak, Varakhedi ji होंगे कहीं? हाँ आएंगे. अच्छा, I wanted him to hear. हाँ, Varakhedi ji. I told him he is my biggest discovery in recent times is this man. Because there's so much potential that we have to work on together. Great. So, Vak, 4 levels of Vak. The external speech is Vakari, what I'm speaking to you. Madhyam is in inner speech, मैं सोच रहा हूँ, thought, Madhyam. Pashyanti is not even thinking, not even concepts, not even in language. Inkling, some kind of an inkling of an idea, but not yet turned into language, concepts, not given form, formless vritti. It's like when you get up in the morning, you have some and then you start putting it into words in your head. Before you put it into words or concepts, before you give a value judgment, theek hai, galat hai, kya hai, wo hai, that rawness, that is what this is, Pashyanti. And then para is transcending all of that. So there's 4 levels of thought and 4 levels of speech. Now I'll tell you why this has, please follow me and then you'll understand why one of the most important issues facing us today in the world. But I'll come to that. So when any meditation, it wants you may start with the outer speech and then you may start with the inner thought, mantra, japa, jo kuch hai. But it takes you to a state of alertness without thoughts. Thoughts without, or vrittis without a thinker. There is no sense of me present. There is no thinker, there is no one experiencing. There is experience, but there is no one claiming it. Because the moment I claim it, then I also I project my values on it. I project ye theek hai, nahi hai, usko aise karna hai, waise karna hai. Then the thought continues like normal thought. But this ability to achieve a state of consciousness where you are not sleeping, you are highly alert, but you don't have concepts. So it's kind of a alertness. This Yoga Nidra takes you there, Bij Mantra takes you there, Vipassana takes you there. Vipassana starts with concept like, you have breath and so on. But it takes you, many meditation systems take you ultimately to that kind of a sadhana state. Now, in that sadhana state, causation becomes richer. Let me explain to you. Normal causation means cause effect कि मैं ये cause है, उसका ये effect होगा, उसका ये effect होगा. So there is something called mind map, knowledge map, जिसमें you can map out all the causation of your theory. जो भी आपकी theory है, you can put a knowledge map out there. But that is at the Vakari and Madhyam level. That is at the level of concepts, logic. I'm talking about there is a level deeper at which new nodes in the map are discovered. You discover new things that you didn't know about. You discover new links that you didn't know about. These discoveries are made in the pre-conceptual, pre-linguistic state of mind that we call Pashyanti. And para is even higher than that. So if you have the benefit, if you have the blessings of a guru or somehow to enjoy these states, then you will get insights that are not ordinary insights, that are not sort of logic and available through reading a lot of things and talking to a lot of people. This is the gyan that is within each one of us to be discovered. So this treasure is an important treasure. So if you can, and at that point there is no agency, there is no doer, there is no thinker, there is none of those kind of things. This is something theoretically explained in tremendous detail in Buddhism, Madhyamika Buddhism. I have studied it. I enjoy it because it gives me insights on Vedanta. It gives me the way to process my own experiences. Because you have the experiences, our tradition has methodologies and processes to get the experiences. And many of these experiences, I find that they are explaining and interpreting what it means. And they also have their own techniques for getting these experiences. So I'm mixing these. I have no problem with that. So this approach has given me the ability to understand hidden hidden causes. There are hidden causes that we don't have at the Vakri, Madhyam level of speech. We don't have. Now I'll tell you a story, an anecdote. I was giving a talk at the Bhabha Atomic Research Center. This is like in the 90s sometime. And I was talking about the topic was spirituality and science. So, मैं अपनी spirituality जैसे आजकल बहुत common हो गया topic, उस ज़माने में it was considered very big controversy कि ऐसी बात भी होती है. And I'm going to Bhabha Atomic Research, which has India's top scientists there. So I am sitting there, इतना बड़ा कमरा में सब लोग बैठे थे. So after that there was Q&A, and one of their top scientists, he stood up and he said, how can you believe in something that we cannot measure, that we have not, that we don't experience? That was his question. So I had never thought of the answer, but there I got a sudden flash of an answer. So I said, have you ever seen an electron? And he said, no. I said, has any physicist ever seen an electron? And the answer is no. Nobody has ever seen an electron. But the reason you believe in the electron is it produces an effect that you can see. It's like the footprint. You see the footprint and you say, ये किसका footprint होगा? हमने उसको देखा नहीं कभी. किसकी shadow होगी? तो कोई शायद इसकी shadow होगी. Shadow हिलती है. Light को ऐसे ऐसे करो तो shadow भी हिलती है. तो we know there is some object there. So electron is a hypothetical particle with certain properties. And there is something called a bubble chamber, which is in physics, there is a certain experimental place called bubble chamber. And in a bubble chamber, you are able to put forces that move these electrons in a certain way. And there's a photographic plate, and the electron makes a curve, an arc, a circle, or a curve on a photographic plate. And this curve, you can change its shape based on the fields. And you know कि electron ही होगा, उसने ये किया होगा. It is like the footprint of an electron, if you will. Okay, so I said, you don't see the fundamental particles on which your whole physics is based, but you see its effects, and those effects allow you to infer, work backwards, कि ऐसा कोई particle होगा. So this is how you are working. So I said, what if we have certain imaginary entities that we consider exist, but they don't exist in this realm, in this loka, they don't exist. But their effects are known. We can measure their effects, and therefore they must exist. So he was very, very impressed. And then I said, I'll take the argument even further. Square root of -1 is one of the most important numbers in physics. It's called I, small I. Square root of -1. But if you ask yourself, square root of -1, what quantity can be square root of minus? You cannot have square root of a minus number. Right? You cannot have square root of a minus number, although it looks silly, ridiculous. So in the practical world, there is no such thing can be square root of -1 represents some quantity like amount of wheat or amount of money or amount of something. It is not a quantity in a physical sense. And numbers are quantity. A number represents some quantity. But here is a number that does not correspond to any quantity. So the existence of square root of -1, it's an imaginary number. Without square root of -1, there would be no sophisticated calculus. There would be no quantum theories, solid state theory, all this magic of physics that you are seeing. The mathematics involves use of constructs that do not exist physically, but the effects that you are developing in your theories can be measured. So this is a very important insight in meditation, that you get to see. This is what I call the Rishi state. You get to experience things which are necessary to build a theory, a school of thought, about things that are more visible. So the empirical reality, जिसको empirical reality बोलते हैं physics वाले, the empirical reality is that which you can measure and see. The empirical reality cannot be fully explained without the use of imaginary entities and imaginary concepts that are not empirical directly, but they are like, their footprints are visible. So this is a very important thing, that my background in physics and my background in computer science and my practice as a meditator have helped me over the years to get richer and richer. So now I'll tell you what I promised, and then I need to stop because I'm taking too much time. So what I promised is to tell you why this is so important today. It is important today because of the 4 levels of speech. The Vaikhari and Madhyam is where AI is limited. It can only have that experience. AI cannot have Pashyanti and Para experience. So if you want to know, AI can take concepts that you feed it, logic, examples, data, all of that is Vaikhari and Madhyam. External physical evidence and mental, intellectual. The 2 of the 4 levels of speech, which are gross, are within the scope of AI, and AI will be better, smarter than human beings. Like many machines are physically smarter, this will be mentally smarter. But there are realities, according to our tradition, and that you discover in state of meditation, that are subtler than these. Those realities, because they are not conceptual and because they are not in the world of ideas as we normally know them, therefore they are beyond AI, they are beyond the data set that you could train AI. It cannot get into that. And so if you are looking for what can humans do which AI will not replace, then you better be a meditator. That's really what it comes to. So what is this doing for me? Why am I going on doing this thankless job? Some people say be thankless job, but of course you people thank me so much. I'm so grateful to you. But जो बाकी दुनिया है उसमें तो thankless ही रहा है ना. So why it's going on? Because what am I getting out of it? I'm going to tell you what is my aspiration, what is my sankalp. I had this all as a result of arguing with intelligent Americans, So Americans say we are the land of the free. That's the slogan. And one of the things we're very proud of, we believe in freedom. तो मैं जब भी जाता हूँ American gathering में, and the more Americans, the better. The more intelligent, educated, the better. I'd love to do this. I've done this several times. I ask them to define freedom. And they are defining, I have freedom to speak, I have freedom to spend money, I have freedom to go here, I have freedom to travel, I have freedom to do anything I want. So I said, okay, fine. So that is called agency. You have freedom, you have the agency to take action. So you are defining freedom as agency to do things. It is freedom to do. It is freedom to. Because it is freedom to do A, B, C, D. And you have more freedom than somebody else, then therefore you are more free. Because you have defined freedom as freedom to do. Now tell me, do you have freedom from? Do you have freedom from anger, from jealousy, from desire? Do you have freedom from habits? Do you have freedom from compulsions? Okay. Or is it that these compulsions are programs sitting in you, driving you in a way that you say, "Main freedom hu." Your freedom may be actually a response to compulsions that you have no choice. You have to go and do this, you have to go and do that, because otherwise you will be miserable. That is not freedom from. That is not even any freedom. The freedom to do things as a response to some habit or some pain or some suffering, या लोग क्या कहेंगे, मेरे को तो ऐसे ही ड्रेस करना है, मैं वहाँ नहीं पहुँचा तो वो लोग क्या कहेंगे. That is not freedom. That is not acting out of freedom. That is acting out of necessity, out of habit, out of compulsion, out of pressure, out of bondage. So you are in bondage, and a way to feel good about that bondage, to keep acting things out, you say भी हमारे पास freedom है, but you don't have freedom from. So the real purpose in life, the Swadharma is only partly external कि अब cause है ये वो है, but the ultimate Swadharma is to shift from freedom to freedom from. Shift your actions, shift your lifestyle so that you do tyag to the freedom to. Tyag is surrender, give up. And this is called yajna. What is the difference between yajna and a transaction? In both cases, you're giving and getting. In a transaction, I give something and I get back something at the same level. So I give you something material and I get back something material. I give you some emotion, love, I get back emotion. So I'm giving you something, I'm getting back something. A yajna is I give in order to receive at a higher level. I am doing tyag at one level because I want something of a higher level. That is yajna. So if I'm surrendering and doing tyag of freedom too, by not doing this, not doing that, freedom to giving up those freedoms, in order to get freedom from, that is yajna. So I want to conclude with that, but I want to thank a few people. Before I can conclude. I want to thank Sonal Mansingh, my dear friend. Sunit Verma, I don't know if he came or not, but a very dear friend. He was supposed to be here. Girish Shah, Upendra Rao, Aditi Banerjee, one of the earliest supporters who stayed with me for a long time. Madhu Kishwar I already mentioned. Amarjeev Roshan I mentioned. Narayan Komarant, he was supposed to be here. Sankrant is somewhere here. Oh, Narayan. Narayan Komarant is an amazing person. He's always stood up and fought for me. He's a quiet guy. We sometimes don't. When we are not interacting, it's good news. Means nobody's attacking me, because then he jumps and fights. And so he's done this for me very many times. He launched the Malayalam book Breaking India recently. So thank you so much for what you. And Sankrant kahan hai? Sankrant. So Sankrant is मेरी शिकायत है. I'm always criticizing कि Sankrant, you need to do more ये वो. But I think the problem is we have not given him enough responsibility because he's underutilized. So he has to be, we have to utilize him. He's an amazing guy, and we have not gotten the value that we can. So we're going to put you to good work now. Lot more work. So then I want to Richa Sinha from Scotland, an amazing person. And the other Richa Gautam, there from all the way from the US, she's come. Satish Sharma, it's like I was saying, sometimes you don't see the object, but you see its shadow. So he's there even if I'm not there. He's always behind, supporting us. Mohinder Golati ji from the World Bank, he has taken our cause and our framework in the World Bank, writing petitions asking for change in policy and getting those changes done. And then my friend Rahul Soor, kahin ho gaye Rahul? He must be there. Rahul Soor just retired from the UN, and another amazing person, members of the Banyan Tree, all of them. And he has a lot to do for us, lot of things he has already done for us. And thank you, Rahul. You are always there, and I appreciate that. Sahana Singh from Ithaca. She's taken some of these frameworks and put them into her daughter. So her daughter is moving forward. Shobha Swami from Kona in the US. My cousin Pinky Singhal from Britain. All the way, she's come. So I want to, especially those who've come from overseas, the rest of my family, Indrani, Vivek Dheer, and Vidu, of course, amazing people. Now I want to thank a list of serious leaders, thinkers, scholars. Mukunda Rao ji, I said. Professor Varakhedi ji, I said. Swami Govind Giri ji, Swami Vigyananand, Babaji Satyanarayan Das, he was there earlier. Ratan Sharda from Mumbai came. Shantanu Gupta made a trip, came back from overseas, and he's always there fighting for us. He's the one who was very instrumental in getting me and Baba Ramdev close to each other. Chammu Krishna Shastri was going to be here. I don't know if he made it. Then Shashi Tiwari had to leave, and R. Jagannathan Jaggi. Jaggi is a editor of Swarajya magazine in Mumbai. Great. Kanchi Gopinath, I noticed him there. Scientist and tremendous. Esther Dhanaraj, I don't know if she's here. She was supposed to be here. Dr. Omendra Ratnu, good fighter. Praveen Chaturvedi ji, thank you so much. Rahul Diwan, he was here a while back. And Ashish Dhar, he's here. Yes, thank you so much. Nagesh and Radhika Bandari, tremendous. Sahil Agarwal from Rishihood University. You know, when you see a young man, you think he is a student hoga, but he's a vice chancellor of a major university here. And Shobit Mathur also, please thank them. And then I want to thank some very dear friends. Shilpa Memani, very, very dear friend. Abhishek Jalan and Deepak, I saw them a while back, they were here. Anand Narasimhan from CNN, he was going to be here, I think maybe not. Bharat Bhushan, Anil Gupta and Monica Arora, I think they left. Rajendra Agarwal, Sanjana Roy Chaudhary, he's my editor. There she is, okay. She's been fighting, she's the person who fights with publishers. And she says कि नहीं ये नहीं काटेंगे ये chapter नहीं निकालेंगे ये नहीं, this is very important, ये करना पड़ेगा. And she's been done this with many different publishers on my behalf, so I'm very grateful for her work. Then Manohar Shinde, I don't know if he's still here, he was there earlier. Jyotsna Garg, of course. Aarti Tikku was supposed to be here, and a few others. Then I want to thank the team who made this possible. Hari Kiran, Dimple, Raghav, Shiv Kumar, Kavita, Koti, Swarup, Manogna, Shubhadeep, Anurag, Rakesh ji, Raghavan, Shalini, Vishwajit and team, Ujwala, Chinmay Patel. I thank all of you. In final words, Dimple asked me over coffee yesterday, what words can come to mind to describe what all you experienced? So I thought of this and I came up with the words lonely, that's one. Overwhelmed is another one. Abused is one. लोग कहते हैं कि क्या, you know, glamour है, तुम लोग famous हो, oh, you know, you're going around, आज यहाँ गए, वहाँ गए, ये किया. They don't realize that यहाँ वहाँ गए, sometimes you are doing it because, you know, you have to face those kind of people. Defeated, sometimes, betrayed, that hurts. But always hopeful and blessed. And in the category of blessed, I have to say, I have been blessed by many gurus. I've gone and really done my tapasya with them and worked with them, and they have blessed me. But most of all, my mother blessed me. So, my mother died during COVID at the age of 96. Last month was her 100th birthday. So a few of us in the next week are getting together and celebrating her 100th birthday. And I think that I have infinite gratitude to my mother for blessing me, and whatever I've been able to achieve was because of that. Thank you very much.
And in the interim, since you mentioned Omi Bhai Umendra Ratnuji, who just did the vanishing act during the Sengol presentation, I would request Omiji if he could come on stage, we could have the Sengol presented to him. So, my dear young friend, Yayashi. So, a round of applause for Dr. Umendra Ratnu.
मेरे पास कोई शब्द नहीं है, गुरु बन गया। मैंने पहली बार मैं आपको गुरु मानता हूँ। जो मेडिटेशन की बात आपने की है, सही में। And there's one thing about राजीव सर, मैं एक बात बोल देता हूँ। बहुत से हिंदू कार्यकर्ताओं से पाला पड़ा जीवन में। एक राजीव सर हैं, जिन्होंने अपनी लेगेसी में रहते हुए नए नेता पैदा किए हैं। ये बहुत बड़ी बात है। हम हिंदुओं का रोग है, हम मर जाते हैं, लेकिन नई
Earlier today in the Samvada, we encountered Rajiv ji's Mandala framework. It mentioned 4 gateways that open pathways into the inner sciences, the outer knowledge systems, our history and cultural memory, the study of society and contemporary issues. In this session, these gateways will appear before us through 4 distinguished speakers, each reflecting one doorway into India's knowledge traditions. We begin with the cultural and aesthetic pathway where sadhana, rasa, and artistic experience become knowledge. Few embody this more deeply than Padma Vibhushan Dr. Sonal Mansingh ji. Sonal ji, may I invite you to address the gathering, please? We are so honored by your presence.
Hari Om. Am Saraswati Namaha. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. My respectful pranams to this Sabha after Rajiv's mesmerizing, amazing. It was not a talk, it was like satsang. I dare to speak a few words because I'm supposed to. And I think it's a great honor, privilege, and I hope it will become pleasure for all of you. We are all warriors. हम सब क्षत्रिय हैं. उसकी अनुभूति यदि हो जाती है तो हम भाग्यशाली हैं. नहीं होती तो वो दुर्भाग्य ज्यादा लोगों का आजकल दिख रहा है. लेकिन भगवत गीता का पहला श्लोक शुरू होता है ना, धर्म क्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे. तो राजीव ने जो बीड़ा उठाया इस जन्म में. इंद्राणी जी, where are you? Will you come and sit in front of me, please? Such a beautiful lady. Thank you. Thank you. Rajiv ने जो बीड़ा उठाया, the task which he has been chasing, fulfilling, working on, ये पूर्व जन्म का कर्म है. It cannot be just one birth. We all have a mission in life given to us by vidhi, niyati, and according to our karma. I was very, very fortunate, I would say, early on. My mission hammered me in my guts. When I was all of 18 and a half, maybe, I had completed my BA, Elphinstone College, Bombay, and then, like all good families, all good Gujarati families, the family council sat to decide my future. My revered grandfather, my mother, my father, Dadaji, father's father. Very liberal person, but you have very big proposals coming from big families. Get married, be happy, like your sister. No. My grandfather had been a lawyer along with Bhulabhai Desai and Muhammad Ali Jinnah until he left it all for Dandi, Cooch, and for Azadi Ka Jang. So he said, you know, you have a brilliant mind. become a lawyer. No. My father said, IAS, IFS, you'll fly the national flag. No. Etc. And then finally, when my mother was exasperated, Gujarati mein unhone pucha, tare shu karu chhe? What do you want to do? And as Rajiv also says, sometimes you do not speak consciously. Not even Vaikhari, Pashyanti. It's that Paradevata. Finally, after the fourth stage is also crossed, is the Paradevata. And that's something, words came out from deep down. And I said, Mare dance, ja. That ja is very important. Karvoche. I only want to dance. Ja is only in Gujarati. And my mother said, E pankar, that too. You get married and also dance. Or you go for your German further studies. I've taken German literature honors and also dance. But I said no. So that's when I traversed the space between only and also. And it's a big space. So I say I was fortunate, like Rajiv, in a small way, to recognize my mission, which spoke from deep down gut, and I stuck to it, facing lots of ups and downs, at a time when dance was not considered respectable. Anyhow, so while Rajiv was speaking and we were imbibing every word, something again churned within me. I remember that first meeting very well. It was across the street from Metropolitan Museum, and we sat in a bistro. So much happens in our lives. Why I said churning, recently my latest production is Amrit Manthan, which was offered for the India Maritime Week in Mumbai on 27th October. And I find that Amrita Manthan is something that is happening in our lives, life after life, life after life. Janam janam ka ye manthan hai. और आप जो बात कर रहे हैं एक योगावस्था की, that avastha where the difference between sakar, nirakar, saguna, nirguna is all abolished. You are in a space where you are not there also. It's like the final point would be when only the dance remains, not the dancer. Therefore, I say that Nritya Yoga is the highest form of yoga. And this has been my constant refrain, because Nritya Yoga combines everything. It's at the pinnacle of today's jargon, mind, body, soul, mind, body, soul. It's all there. And there is Sahitya, there is Sangeeta, there is Shilpa, there is Chitra. There is the weaving, the costumes we wear. And when you go to the weavers and sit and watch them, it's a meditation. And then you realize why. Kabir was a weaver. Why? He wrote, Jeeni, jeeni, beeni chadariya, kahe ke tana, kahe ke bharani, kaun tar se beeni chadariya. That entire thing comes alive. And those are our textiles that we wear when we dance. Sabha kalpatarut bhati. Sabha, like today, is like the kalpataru, the wish-fulfilling tree. Sabha kalpatarut bhati, bhati and a shining. On that tree, Vedah shakhopashobhitaha. Our Veds, Vidya, with to know, knowledge, are the branches of that tree. Shastra pushpa samakirnaha. And the Shastras, those compendiums which hold that knowledge, are like the flowers on those branches. And the last, Vidvat Brahmara Samyutaha. The Vidvans, the Rasikas, are like the bee, honeybee, sucking from those Shastric flowers which grow on the branches of that Kalpavriksha. I don't think that any civilization or any culture in the world has produced such beautiful thoughts, deepest of deep thoughts, in such a poetic way. And this brings me to rasa. Let's not say rasa, yoga, karma, chakra. Yeah, it's very painful. It hurts my ears. But deal with it and tell them when you can. So, it brings me to rasa. Again, while Rajiv was speaking, there were many, many moments where there was a rasa nishpatti and I experienced rasasvadana. I don't think you meant to be poetic, but you are. Because you have digested in the real way. You have chewed, you have digested. And that energy that comes from that digestion is what comes out as rasa. They say there are 9 rasas. Actually, there are 8 in Natya Shastra because the last one was added much, much later, Shanta. And I'm just sort of, because Richaji is also sitting here, my friend Ananda is also there, and so many Vidvans, Gurujans are here, that Shanta is Shanta. Rasa, to me, is a flow. And on that flow of a river, of a rasa, there are bubbles, there are ripples. Shanta has no ripples. Shanta has no bubbles. It is just Shanta. So, it's a matter for discussion, but the rasa nishpatti and the rasaswadan and the rasa. So everything we do in life, every single day, every action, every reaction shows a particular rasabhava. And this is where, again, I say nritya is the highest yoga, because willy-nilly you are submerged in that river of rasa. And for everyone, it's not the same experience, of course, depending on your own predilections, your own temperament. I have a very beautiful, when Saguna Nirguna, Nirguna was, I think, Hari, and you also, I think, refer somewhere today. I have a very beautiful kavit to offer to you. It's one of my favorites. This is the dialogue between gopis and Uddhava. And I need not tell you who Uddhava was. He was a dear friend of Sri Krishna, also a Brahmagyani. And he knew that he was Brahmagyani. And he tells Sri Krishna in Mathura, once he had left Gokul Vrindavan, you know, you've become a laughing stock among people. Why? Because shouting your name day and night, the gopis are crying, are laughing. They are like mad women. They are searching for your footsteps in the sand banks of Yamuna. Somebody is climbing the tree playing flute on Kadamba tree. They are playing ras, saying, Krishna, come on. Yeah, okay, so let them play, let them be happy. No, people are laughing at you. Okay, so what should I do? Go and tell them. I will not do that, Uddhava. But I encourage you to go to them and explain to them. Uddhava is very happy. Here is my task. Yes, the Brahmagyani sets off for Vrindavan, and he is really ashamed at what he sees. Exactly all that. The gopis hear the chariot coming, and they see a Rajavamshi, a royal person, and they say, maybe our Kanhaiya has come. They run, and then they see Uddhav. And Uddhav says, sit down. I've come to explain to you a few things. I know you want to hear about Krishna. I'm going to tell you something. You sit down. Uddhav starts explaining, Nirguna Nirakar ki prarthna karo, usko bhajo. Saguna sakar kuchha nahi hai. Brahma is Nirgun Nirakar, etc., etc. They are all listening. When he finished, they said, shall we ask you something? Yes, yes. So the youngest gopi starts. कौन दिन कान्ह ने चढ़ाए प्राण उरद को? Tell us on which day, if at all, any day, he has pulled his prana upwards. Another one says, wait. कियो कब इंद्रन को साधन सुधार है? And when has he worked on his indriya? Is he indriyatit? Has he gone beyond his sense organs? He was having so much fun with us. Third one says, कौन से घन बनते बैठ के समाधि साधी? In which of the forests did he sit down under a tree and went into Yog Samadhi? We never saw that. We know all the forests because we played ras with him everywhere. And the fourth one says, कौन से गुरु से सीखो योग को विचार है? From which guru has he learned yoga? Gwala Kavi, the Mudra, the poet, Udho, the oldest one says, Udho, jahi nirgun kahe hai tu. You call that fellow nirgun. Vah to avagunu ko akhila agar hai. He's the ocean of all the avagunas. Why? And then the last one. Aave ko karar kiyo. He promised us he'll come back, he'll return. Aave ko karar kiyo, ayo na labar maha. Labar is rascal. That rascal promised to come back, he has not come back. On top of it, mama diyo mar. He killed his own mama, uncle. And banyo kubri ko yaar hai. He's become the lover of that kubja, that hunchback. Now you tell us, Uddhav, you mean you are telling us about the same guy? And our Puranas say, Uddhav did Sashtanga Dandavat to these gopis. And he went back, could not speak a word. Sri Krishna knew, of course. And he said, Samjha ke aage? And Uddhav says, they are my gurus. Gopikas are the ultimate of unconditional love, and the knowledge of bhavo bhava, bhakti, made them what they were. Rasa, I was talking of rasa. So rasa is also yoga. You have to do sadhana to understand rasa, to experience them. And on stage, at the drop of a hat, you have to summon that bhava which would bring out rasa for the audience, and they will taste it. Rasa swadan kare. Therefore, I call Nritya Yoga the highest. You summon like that. And yet, you are nishpaksha. You are only a sakshi. I do not become Radha. I do not become Krishna. I do not become Sakhi, even in Gita Govinda, where Shri Krishna says, Smaragara lakhandanam mamashirasi mandanam dhehi pada pallava mudaram. And I encourage all the husbands to understand that. Husbands and lovers. Krishna kaise manate hai Radha ko? And there is a history behind it. So everything comes together, saguna, nirguna. Jagannath is only, if you see, a piece of wood changed every 12 years. But there, क्या है जो पुजारी, बड़ पुजारी को आंख पे काली पट्टी बांधकर अंधेरे में वो निकालता है, जब वो जल गया उसको ले गए और दूसरी मूर्ति जगन्नाथ जी स्थापित हुए, अंधेरे में जाके वो रख देता है. क्या है वो? तो निर्गुण सगुण नहीं है, सब ब्रह्म है. आप जो चाहो बोल सकते हो. तो श्री कृष्ण एज द सगुण ब्रह्म, वहां पर जयदेव लिख रहे गीत गोविंद, द वन एंड ओनली क्रिएशन ऑफ हिज विच मेड हिम इमॉर्टल. यहां तक लिखा उन्होंने दैट श्री राधा was waiting all night. He didn't come. Finally, at the crack of dawn, he appears, and Radha sees all the telltale marks of his having been with another woman, another gopi, and she rejects him. Yahi Madhava, Yahi Keshava, Mavada Kaitava Vadam. Go. Madhava, go Keshava. Again, you talked of Sanskrit so much. All the philosophy, the rasa of philosophy and sahitya, kavya, they merge, as you rightly quoted me, in this highest philosophy. Madhava. Ma is Lakshmi. Dhava is husband. Lakshmi chanchal hai, tu bhi waisa hi hai. Jao. Keshava. Krishna had ghungrale kesh. Itni knots tere dil mein bhi hai. You are not a good person. Jao. Rejected totally and dejected, Sri Krishna waits outside, and then he comes. It's this whole Gita Govinda is absolutely amazing. There is Sri Krishna, it's actually not Gita Govinda, or ya to Geet Govinda ka Geet hai Radha ke liye. Here Radha is the hero and the heroine, and Sakhi is the Margadarshak. तो कहते हैं श्री कृष्ण वदसी यदि किंचित अपि दंत रुचि etc. जो मैंने अभी आपको बताया कि वो राधा के चरणों में पड़ जाते हैं। राधा बैठी है मुख मरोड़कर, चरणों में पड़ जाते हैं और कहते हैं। तो ये जो यहाँ तक लाए जयदेव कवि कि वो आए और कहा कि जस्ट स्पीक अ लिटिल, वन वर्ड, आई वॉन्ट टू सी द दंत रुचि कौमुदी एटसेट्रा। नहीं आगे समझ में आ रहा था कि श्री राधा माफ कैसे करेंगी, कृष्ण का माफी नामा क्या एक्चुअली कहेगा, which will be that point. And he says, I can't write anymore, I can't think anymore. वो नहाने चले गए, पद्मावती को कह के गए मैं अभी नहा के आता हूँ, भोजन करेंगे बाद में। When he came back, he saw Padmavati eating from the same thali as every day. उनको पति को भोजन करा के वो करती थी उसी थाली में। जयदेव said, आज क्षुधाग्रस्त हो गई क्या आप? Were you very hungry? So she said, why? You just had your lunch. I had lunch. अभी तो आप, Jayadev ran. He saw his pothli open. वहां श्री कृष्ण खुद लिख के गए हैं, जयदेव ने नहीं लिखे हैं ये। स्मर गरल खंडनम मम शिरसि मंडनम देहि पद पल्लव मुदारम। जो स्मर यानी कामदेव, स्मरण में जो आता है, those happy moments we spent together, so near yet so far you are. स्मर गरल जो पॉइजन है उसका, ऐसे स्मरण का खंडनम, उसको काटो हे राधा। मम शिरसि मंडनम, मेरे सर पे रखो, मंडन करो, मेरे सर को विभूषित करो। Enhance the beauty of my head which is at your feet by placing your tender feet on my head. नतमस्तक हैं कृष्ण। And that's where all this saguna, nirguna, akara, nirakara, sakara, that entire dialogue, that entire conversation and discussion and argument, it comes to an end. Because again, भारतवर्ष जो है दुनिया में एक अकेला ऐसा राष्ट्र है, ऐसी भूमि है, ऐसी मिट्टी है यहाँ पर, जहाँ भगवान बारंबार बारंबार अवतार लेते हैं। ये बातें मैं इसलिए कह रही हूँ, आई एम सपोज टू जस्ट स्पीक फॉर 10-15 मिनट्स, बट ठीक है, मैं तो रस सागर में डूब जाती हूँ, सॉरी। और एक दो मैं छोटा सा बता दूंगी ऐसे, जस्ट टू शेयर अनदर एग्जाम्पल। आप फिजिक्स की बात कर रहे हैं, एंड देन क्वांटम फिजिक्स है वगैरह वगैरह। तो आदि शंकराचार्य का अर्धनारीश्वर स्तोत्र पढ़ लीजिए, जो एक आधी पंक्ति में बता रही हूँ। श्री शिवा देवी दिव्यांबराय च, और शिव है दिगंबराय। He is talking of space and light. That's all. She is clad in light. That is also in space. Digambara hai Shiva, who is covering all the spheres, all dimensions. बात एक ही है, लेकिन दिव्यांबराय च दिगंबराय नमः शिवाय च नमः शिवाय। अब इसको हम लोग नृत्य में करते हैं। सभी को जो मैं कोट कर रही हूँ, ये सभी नृत्य में होता है। और नृत्य therefore is the highest philosophy made visible, made experiential. और जिन्होंने नृत्य नहीं सीखा थोड़ा भी जानने के लिए कि ये शरीर क्या है, ये शरीर क्या है, कि इट्स अ यंत्र, इट्स अ मीडियम given to you to experience higher experiences, values, higher visions, whatever, higher power. मैं कहूँगी आज भी थोड़ा सा हिल डुल लीजिए, थोड़े अपनी उंगलियों को पहचानिए कि वो क्या क्या कर सकती हैं। कृष्ण की बांसुरी बजा सकती है, सुदर्शन चक्र चला सकती है, राम का धनुष बाण खींच सकती है, दशमुख रावण का वध कर सकती है, और देवी बनके पूरी सृष्टि को जन्म दे सकती है। तो हाँ जी, बस ठीक है। मैं तो राजीव की बात करने आई थी, लेकिन राजीव ने मुझे इतना सचेतन सजीव कर दिया कि मैं आपकी ही प्रशंसा में ये बातें कर रही थी। बाकी मेरा अपना कुछ नहीं है। और फिर से मैं कहूँगी कि नृत्य में अमृत मंथन किया, जीवन में भी अमृत मंथन हर रोज़ चलता रहता है, whether we recognize it or not। और जीवन में हलाहल भी निकलता है, कामधेनु भी निकलती हैं, पारिजात भी निकलता है, अप्सराएं भी निकलती हैं, लेकिन हमारी खोज है, हमारी शोध है अमृत के लिए। और वो अमृत का, इसको एलिक्सिर कहते हैं, ब्रोसिया कहते हैं, इमॉर्टैलिटी कहते हैं, बट दे, एज यू सेड, दीज वर्ड्स, संस्कृत इज untranslatable, non-translatable, non-negotiable। तो इसीलिए मैं फिर से बार बार आप सबका यानी राजीव का बहुत बहुत आभार मानती हूँ। आई एम सो ग्रेटफुल टू यू फॉर इंक्लूडिंग मी इन दिस यज्ञ। धन्यवाद। मे यू लिव लॉन्ग राजीव, मे यू कीप फाइटिंग, एंड यू अलोन। तुम्हारी पूरी सेना है, आज से मैं भी उसमें हूँ। जियो जियो हजारों साल, और साल के दिन हो 50,000। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद सोनल जी। मैं हमारी स्टेयरकॉम मेंबर अदिति जी से निवेदन करती हूँ कि वे आए और एक छोटी सी भेंट आपको अर्पित करें। Thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Sonal ji. Thank you, Indrani ji. Raji ji, please. Coming back to the mandala that we described, we are now moving on to the societal gateway, the path that engages with public life, institutions, and contemporary issues. And who best than Shri C. Mukunda Rao ji to talk about that? I request Mukunda Rao ji to kindly deliver his keynote address. Mukunda Rao ji.
नमस्कार। मुझे 15 मिनट दिया है, उसमें मैं पूरा करता हूँ, क्योंकि हम सभी शायद भोजन का प्रतीक्षा में हैं। तो बी एश्योर्ड दैट आई विल फिनिश इन 15 मिनट्स ओनली। केवल मैं एक उदाहरण, एक घटना, और अंत में राजीव जी ने संघ का 100 साल जब पूरा हो रहे, जिस संगठन को मैं यहाँ प्रतिनिधित्व कर रहा हूँ, उसके लिए उन्होंने एक गिफ्ट देना चाहता है। मैं भी एक छोटा गिफ्ट उनको यही देना चाहता हूँ, वहाँ जहाँ बैठा है वहाँ जाकर मैं देना चाहता हूँ। तो इसको मैं एक जनक सभा ऐसा बोलता हूँ, क्योंकि जनक महाराज जो था, उनका जो सभा रहता था वो ज्ञान सभा होती थी। जनक महाराज स्वयं बहुत बड़े ज्ञानी थे, तो उनका आस्थान में, इन हिज कोर्ट, there used to be so many poets, so many scholars, so many कलाकार रहते थे, वगैरह वगैरह। सभी जो ज्ञान का अर्जन और उसका चर्चा करने वाले होते थे। तो इस जनक सभा में राजीव मल्होत्रा जी ही जनक महाराज है, क्योंकि उनके कारण इतना सारे, जब मैं सुन रहा था राजीव जी जो बोल रहे थे या बाकी भी परिचय में हो रहा था, सभी अपने अपने क्षेत्र में श्रेष्ठ, ज्येष्ठ, तज्ञ, जिसको कहा जाता है आज के परिभाषा में सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट्स, ऐसे लोग ही ये सभी यहाँ हम बैठे। तो राजीव जी के कारण ऐसे आप सभी महान भाव मातृशक्ति यहाँ आए। इसके लिए इस जनक सभा में राजीव मल्होत्रा जी ही एक ज्ञान योगी है और राजर्षि भी है। एक उदाहरण, मैं परसों ही मुंबई में एक डिफरेंट कॉन्टेक्स्ट में उसको दिया। वहाँ मैं यहाँ आने से पहले राजीव जी से मैंने उनका सुझाव पूछा था, मैं क्या बात करना। उन्होंने सुझाव भी कुछ दिया था, लेकिन वो सभी मैं कीपिंग असाइड, मैंने जब राजीव जी का सुन रहा था, उन्होंने उनका रिफ्लेक्शंस, I thought that I should give this example here also, though I have given it 2 days back. एक क्लासिकल एक एग्जाम्पल है वो। एक स्कूल फिजिक्स टीचर, उनको एक दूसरा उनका दोस्त से फ़ोन आया, मैं दूसरा बाजू का स्कूल में वो था फिजिक्स टीचर, द बोथ वर टीचिंग इन हाई स्कूल्स। उन्होंने बताया मैं एक समस्या में हूँ, आप आ जाइए। तो ये वहाँ गए। तो समस्या क्या थी, पूरा क्लास पूरा हो चुका था, केवल दैट टीचर एंड ए स्टूडेंट, दे वर देयर। दिस colleague asked him, what's the problem, what's the challenge? He said, मैंने एक इनको परीक्षा दी थी, उसको लिए उन्होंने आंसर दिया है। मेरा ख्याल से वो आंसर ठीक नहीं, क्योंकि वो टेक्स्ट बुक में नहीं है। लेकिन वो जो he is arguing that my answer was correct, you have to give full marks. What's the question? Using a barometer, how can you find the height of the building in front of you? उसके लिए टेक्स्ट बुक में आंसर था। बारोमीटर हम सभी जानते हैं, वो एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर वैल्यू देते, तो बारोमीटर लेकर जाइए, ग्राउंड पर खड़ा हो जाइए, वहाँ आपका एटमॉस्फेरिक वैल्यू लीजिए, ऊपर जाइए टॉप, वहाँ भी लीजिए, डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टू वैल्यूज हैविंग ए फार्मूला, barometric formula, you can find the height of the building. बट उन्होंने लिखा था बारोमीटर लीजिए, ये रस्सी लेकर जाइए ऊपर, रस्सी को बांधिए, धीरे धीरे रस्सी नीचे उतारिए। तो वो उसको उस रस्सी का यदि मेजर किया तो आपको यू विल फाइंड द हाइट ऑफ द बिल्डिंग। ये समस्या थी। तो इनको लगा, दूसरा टीचर जो था, उनको लगा अरे ये लिख रहे, उनको परीक्षा करने का था, आपको टेक्स्ट बुक में जो उत्तर है वो भी मालूम है क्या, ऐसा उनको परीक्षा कर। तो उन्होंने एक उनको दिया, आपको 5 मिनट देता हूँ, आप कुछ उत्तर है तो लिखिए। He wanted to test that student whether he was knowing the answer which was given in the textbook. It was saying that आप जैसा है वैल्यूज के आधार पर ले सकते, लेकिन that student was sitting idle. After 5 minutes also he was not doing anything, writing. So this colleague asked him, do you know that any other answers? He said, मैंने सोच रहा था, मेरा पास बहुत सारे उत्तर है, क्या लिखना है, तो बताइए। उन्होंने बताया, आप बारोमीटर लेकर ऊपर जाइए, एक स्टॉप वॉच लेकर जाइए, बारोमीटर वहाँ छोड़ दीजिए, स्टॉप वॉच में यू विल गेट दी टी टाइम, यूजिंग द सिंपल फार्मूला S equals half GT square, you can find the height of the building. और बारोमीटर लेकर जाइए, एक बहुत जहाँ प्रकाश के दिन में उसको परपेंडिकुलरली यू पुट इट, you measure the shadow of the barometer. If barometer is 5 inches, you will get the shadow maybe 3 centimeters. At the same time, measure the shadow of the building. By sheer comparison, you will get the height of the building. एक लैडर लेकर जाइए, बिल्डिंग को लगाए, नीचे से ऊपर तक बारोमीटर कितना है ये मेजर कीजिए, आपको मिलेगा। ऐसा एक के बाद एक बारोमीटर को एक रस्सी बांधिए, उसको ऐसा पेंडुलम जैसा कीजिए, you will get the G value. ऊपर जाइए, वो भी दो डिफरेंस बिटवीन द 2 G वैल्यूज, you will get the height. ऐसा एक के बाद एक, अंत में वो हंसते बैठे। क्या क्यों हंस रहे? नहीं, और एक उत्तर है, बट इट इज नॉट अकॉर्डिंग टू फिजिक्स. व्हाट इज दैट आंसर? एक ब्रांड न्यू बैरोमीटर लेकर जाइए, वो सुपरिटेंडेंट इंजीनियर जो है उनका बिल्डिंग का, you knock the door, he will come out, say that if you tell me the height of the building, I will give this barometer to you. He will tell. सामान्य, जैसा मैंने बताया, क्लासिकल उत्तर है, क्लासिकल एग्जाम्पल है, टू फाइंड द आंसर विच आर नॉट इन द टेक्स्ट बुक. He was knowing, then also he didn't want it because he want to explore other things where he can answer that question in a different manner. राजीव मल्होत्रा जी का जीवन आप देखें तो 30 साल इन्फिनिटी फाउंडेशन का हो रहे, उससे पहले ही वो शुरू किया था. सभी वेस्टर्न, वेदर इट इज आइडियोलॉजीज और थिंकिंग फिलॉसफीज, एनीथिंग, many of us mean I am not, I was very junior when compared to him. Many scholars who have tried to answer them in their framework, उनका चौकट में जाकर उनका टेक्स्ट बुक आंसर को लेकर. लेकिन राजीव मल्होत्रा जी ने ये प्रयास किया, जब हम सुन रहे थे उनका रिफ्लेक्शन, कैसे कैसे किया. 108 स्ट्रैटेजीज, पॉइजन पिल या पूर्व पक्ष, ये सभी पहली बार हम सभी, मैं जब संघ के प्रचारक के नाते काम शुरू कर रहे थे, उस समय ये सभी हम नहीं सुन रहे थे. राजीव मल्होत्रा जी का पुस्तक वेदर इंद्रास नेट और बीइंग डिफरेंट, ये पढ़ते पढ़ते हम सभी ऐसा हम सोच सकते हैं, ऐसा हम कर सकते हैं, ऐसा बहुत लोगों को लगा. इसके लिए राजीव मल्होत्रा जी ने सामान्य जैसा सभी लोग उत्तर देने के लिए एक, इट इज अ सिविलाइजेशनल चैलेंज which we are all answering in our own way, but Rajiv Malhotra chose a path where nobody has tread, यानी वो उनका अलग एक रास्ता से, उसको जो टेक्स्ट बुक में नहीं था, ऐसा उत्तर उन्होंने देने के लिए एक सफल प्रयोग उन्होंने किया है, सफल पाया है. दूसरा एक घटना मैं बताना चाहता हूँ, उसको मैंने सुना केरल में. संघ तो हम सभी जानते हैं, राष्ट्रीय विचार के साथ हम काम करते हैं, हमको विरोध करने वाले प्रामाणिक लोग भी है. ऐसा एक व्यक्ति आया था, पूजनीय सत्संग चालक जी डॉक्टर मोहन भागवत जी भी मंच पर थे. वो जो आया था वो एक लेफ्ट विचार के थे, पर तो प्रामाणिक थे. उन्होंने वहाँ ये घटना बताई. एक गांव में एक विश्ववैद्य था, जो किसी तरीके का विष जो होता है उसको अच्छा मेडिसिन देने वाले था वो. लेकिन उनका परंपरा में ऐसा था, किसी से पैसा नहीं लेना. उनका एक ही अकेला बेटा था. वो परंपरा से उनको बहुत सारे, यानी आई थिंक ही गॉट इट फ्रॉम मेनी जनरेशंस एंसेस्टर्स. उनका एक अकेला बेटा था. वो एक दिन गए दूसरा गांव में, वापस आने के समय एक्सीडेंट हो गया, और उनको उनके साथ जो थे वो सभी लेकर गए. उस शहर में एक ही बड़ा हॉस्पिटल नर्सिंग होम था, वहाँ लेकर गए. वहाँ जो बैठे थे रात्रि डेस्क में, बिलिंग डेस्क में, उन्होंने कुछ डिपॉजिट रखने के लिए इनसे पूछा, जो लेकर गए थे. वो सभी के पास पैसा नहीं था. वो गए इनका घर में पैसे लेने के लिए, लेकिन पैसे लेकर आने तक उनका मृत्यु हो चुका था. तो ये हो गया, ऐसा हो गया. वो जो हॉस्पिटल था उसका मालिक जो थे, उनको भी एक अकेला बेटा था. वो सभी अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ जब गए थे, उनको एक सांप काट लिया. उनको लेकर गए इनका हॉस्पिटल में, बहुत ट्रीटमेंट किया. वो बेहोश हो गए, कोमा में चले गए, आयुर्वेदिक हो गया, बाकी सभी हर्बल वगैरह वगैरह जो भी चल रहा था. ये डॉक्टर तो बहुत ये हो गया, दुखित हो गया, क्योंकि बचने वाले नहीं था बेटा. लेकिन किसी ने बताया इसी गांव में ऐसा एक व्यक्ति है, वो विश्व वैद्य है, सभी तरीके के सांप वो बाकी वो सभी तरीके का पॉइजन को वो मेडिसिन देते हैं. इनको वहाँ लेकर गई. तो वहाँ जाने के बाद उन्होंने उनको ट्रीटमेंट किया, उनका बच गया वो. लेकिन बाद में पता चला मेरा हॉस्पिटल में इनका बेटे को लेकर आया था, परंतु इनको मैंने करने के लिए नहीं हुआ, पैसे के कारण. तो ये फिर भी वो वैद्य जो था विषय वैद्य, उनको पैसे देने के लिए गए, वो नहीं लेने वाले थे। इन्होंने पूछा, बहुत शायद आपको मेरा पूरा मैं समझ गया, आपका बेटा को मेरे पास लेकर गए आए थे, परंतु वी आर नॉट एबल टू गिव लाइफ टू हिम बिकॉज ऑफ सम मनी फैक्टर, ऑल दोस थिंग्स ही वाज सेइंग। उस समय वो वैद्य जो था वो उस कोने में जाकर ऐसा आंसू लेकर आया। इन्होंने पूछा, क्या आप सब, आपको पूरा याद आ गया क्या, स्मरण आ गया क्या, आपका बेटे को स्मरण करते हुए ऐसा ऐसा हो गया? उन्होंने बताया, मुझे आंसू इसके लिए नहीं आ रहे, मेरा बाट सभी जन्म लेते मर जाते, परंतु इसके लिए मुझे आंसू आ रहे। अकेला था, मेरा खानदान में, मेरा वंश में ऐसा था, मुझे ही उनको सिखाने का था, मैंने सिखाया था विद्या, लेकिन वो नहीं है आज। जो मेरा परंपरा से जो आया था वो यहाँ बंद हो गया। दैट वाज बिकॉज ऑफ ही, उन्होंने, उनका मृत्यु हो गई। मुझे जो मिला था उनको मैं दिया था, अभी वो करने वाले कोई नहीं, इसके लिए वो चले गए, शरीर वो चले गए, इसके लिए नहीं। जो ज्ञान मुझे मिला था उसको मैंने उनको दिया था, अभी वो नहीं है, इसके लिए मुझे आंसू आ रहा है, ऐसा उन्होंने बताया। राजीव जी, उन्होंने जो आया था सभा में उस दिन, उन्होंने बताया, संघ जो कर रहे हैं, राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ आप जो कर रहे हैं, ये काम जो बचा के रखते हुए आगे अगली पीढ़ी को दे रहे हैं, उसका काम आप कर रहे हैं, ऐसा वो समाजवादी या लेफ्टिस्ट व्यक्ति ने बताया। राजीव जी वो काम कर रहे हैं, जो हमारे लिए मिला था अगली पीढ़ी को कैसा देना। एक समस्या, मेरा बहुत सारे फ्रेंड्स कनाडा में, अमेरिका में है, वो सभी, मैं जब हाई स्कूल में था, मैं शाखा में जाता, वो नहीं जाते थे, उसके लिए वो राष्ट्रीय विचार, हिंदू संस्कृति का विचार, मूल्यों का विचार, वो उस समय थोड़ा कुछ लोग ऐसा भी था फ्रेंड्स, वो सेक्युलर या ऐसा ऐसा, लेकिन राजीव जी का पुस्तक पढ़कर वो सभी अभी टर्न हो गया कुछ लोग। ना, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट ओनली क्लासमेट्स, माय फ्रेंड्स हु आर लिविंग इन माय एरिया, ऐसे लोग कुछ बदल गए। तो राजीव जी, जो वो व्यक्ति ने जो बताया संघ के बारे में, वही काम राजीव जी कर रहे हैं, और संघ अभी 100 साल पूरा कर रहे हैं। राजीव जी का 75 ईयर हो रहे हैं, और इन्फिनिटी का फाउंडेशन का 30 साल हो रहे हैं। तो हम सभी, एक कोइंसिडेंस ऐसा भी मैं मानता हूँ, एक दो तुलना हम कर सकते हैं संघ का काम और उनका। अभी बानियन ट्री का जो नेटवर्क का जो है, ये सोच संघ का जैसा अपना कार्य पद्धति है, प्रक्रिया है, उसी तरफ का है ऑलवेज। और पूजनीय सत्संग चालकी सेज, वर्किंग टुगेदर सेपरेटली, वर्किंग टुगेदर सेपरेटली। विचार एक ही है, हम सबको बांधने वाले विचार है, लेकिन काम करने का तरीका अलग अलग है, होना पड़ता है। राजीव जी ऐसा जो काम कर रहे, सबके लिए प्रेरणा भी है। ये नेटवर्क अभी उनका सोच या वाल्डीमनी जी का जो चिंतन है, मुझे लगता है ऐसा नेटवर्क, संघ कैसा सोच रहे ऐसा है। दूसरा है उसके साथ जुड़े हुए विषय, संघ में हम 2 शब्द उपयोग करते हैं, सुप्त शक्ति जागरण, सज्जन शक्ति जागरण। सुप्त शक्ति जागरण ये है, बहुत लोगों का मन में रहता है, बहुत लोग संघ में आकर स्वयंसेवक भी बनकर रहता है, परंतु सदा समय सक्रिय नहीं रहता है। उनको जागृत करना, सुप्त शक्ति हमारा है, लेटेंट फोर्स है, वो पोटेंशियल है, परंतु बाहर नहीं आया है, उसको जागृत करने का। दूसरा सज्जन शक्ति जागरण, जो अभी मैंने जो बताया, जो भी काम कर रहे अच्छे काम में, उसके लिए उसको साथ जो फेलो ट्रैवलर्स है, सहपथिक है, वेल मीनिंग पीपल, लाइक माइंडेड पीपल, जो भी आप अपने शब्दों का उपयोग कीजिए, सभी को साथ लेकर वो जो करे उसको अप्रिशिएट करना, साथ में लेकर जाना। मुझे लगता है ये नेटवर्क, बैनियन नेटवर्क जो है, वो मुझे लगता है संघ का अपना जो तरीका, संघ ने 100 साल से हम जो कर रहे या करना चाहते हैं, उसी मार्ग में राजीव मल्होत्रा जी भी है। तो मैं ज़्यादा नहीं बोलता हूँ। राजीव मल्होत्रा जी को जब संघ 100 साल पूरा कर रहे हैं, उस समय देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी ने और अपने सरकारी मान्य दत्तात्रेय होसबाड़े जी ने एक कमोमरेटिव एक कॉइन उसको they released, they dedicated that commemorative coin to the nation. I want to present that coin to राजीव मल्होत्रा जी इस समय करके मेरा प्रक्रिया में पूरा करता हूँ. नमस्कार.
धन्यवाद मुकुंद जी. और अब ऋचा जी, आपसे अनुरोध है कि आप हमारी भेंट इन्हें प्रस्तुत करें. मुकुंद जी. धन्यवाद. I now request Honorable Dr. Varakhedi, the Vice Chancellor of Central Sanskrit University, and more importantly, a very vital member of the Steering Committee of Banyan Tree Network, to express gratitude on behalf of the BTN, and thereafter we will immediately have the recognition ceremony. Varakhedi garu.
तो मैं बोलने के लिए नहीं खड़ा हूँ, तो थैंक्स देने के लिए बीटीएन नेटवर्क के सभी हमारे सदस्यों के तरफ से मैं पहले राजीव जी को थैंक्स देना चाहता हूँ. आपने इसको स्वीकार किया और भारत में भी ऐसे हम सबको एक आनंद रस अनुभव करने का अवसर दिया, इसलिए धन्यवाद. और इस कार्यक्रम में हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए सभी महानुभावों को मैं एक तंत्रेण धन्यवाद अर्पण करता हूँ. मैं कहानी के साथ मैं समाप्त करना चाहता हूँ. आपने सुना होगा वातापी इल्वल की कहानी है. वातापी और इल्वल दो राक्षस थे. वो अपनी अतिथियों की हत्या करते थे. वो कैसे करते थे, बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग था. उसमें Vatapi used to take different forms like goat, and Ilvala used to cook the goat and then he used to offer and to the guests. जिस समय वो भोजन करके उस समय वो आराम लेना चाहते थे, उस समय वो बोलता था वातापी बहिरागच्छ, वातापी बाहर आ जाओ. तो वातापी बाहर आ जाता था, उसका मरण होता था. तो आज भी हमारे समाज में ऐसे दो है, यहाँ इल्वल है, वहाँ वातापी बैठा है. एक उनको प्रेरणा करता है और हमारे देश में इतने वातापी है और नाना फॉर्म लेते हैं और वो अंदर घुसकर वो अतिथियों का मतलब हमारा हत्या करते हैं. बट देयर इज एन अगस्त्य. ये अगस्त्य भी है, राजीव जी अगस्त्य हैं. उन्होंने क्या किया, एक दिन वातापी का भोजन किया. भोजन करने का तो वातापी जीर्णो भव ऐसा बताया. तो वातापी को डाइजेस्ट कर दिया. जब वातापी डाइजेस्ट हो गया तो उसके बाद वातापी कभी नहीं आया. तो आज जितने भी हमारे सामने पूर्व पक्ष है, उस पूर्व पक्ष को आपने डाइजेस्ट कर दिया. तो अभी वातापी जीर्ण हो गया तो कभी नहीं आएगा बाहर. तो इतने हमारे साथ जितने भी राजीव जी के ग्रंथ सामग्री है, वो पूर्व पक्ष को बहुत वीक नहीं करना है, वीक नहीं समझना है. उसको ठीक से लेकर उसको हमें एक तरह से उसको समझना है, बाद में उत्तर देना है. Today's required need is this. We need to understand the power of the Purva Paksha. Then we need to really understand and then digest it, and then we have to respond to it. So thank you so much for this new lesson, and we will continue this journey. बिल्कुल we will continue this journey. I am there. So with this note, now we end this with a recognition to Rajiv ji, and please come on dais, and we want to really acknowledge. Thank you.
Dhanyavad Varakhedi ji. I request the steering committee members of Banyan Tree Network to kindly come on stage, and I invite Rajiv ji and Indrani ji to kindly come on stage for the recognition.
Our hero of the evening, Rajiv Garu.
Still directing us.
First, we will have the recognition. You know, those of you who follow Aditi on the Facebook, you will see that she is a very mellifluous writer. She's a very, writing is spiritual, very spiritual. And I requested her to write the citation for Rajiv. So Rajiv, I want to read out the citation. The citation has been written by Aditi. I want to read it out loudly to you. Yes. In the honor of Shri Rajiv Malhotra for a lifelong yajna devoted to seva in the pursuit of dharma through groundbreaking scholarship that has reshaped the Indic discourse, dismantling colonist narratives and creating new frameworks based on Indic tradition, building a treasure trove of best-selling masterpieces of thought leadership, always speaking up and never backing down, fearlessly leading with principled passion and courage of conviction, and molding the modern intellectual Kshatriya movement, an unforgettable and unique legacy for which we will always be blessed. Thank you so much.